not just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on your YouTube machine. It is already Monday, May the 4th be with you. One of the stupidest days of the year. As always, it is presented by the Advocates. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, 24/7, 365. They are available when you need them, where you need them, and how you need them. If that's in your hospital room, if that's in their office, if that's on a video call, the Advocates are ready, willing, and able to serve you. And the best part is you get clear, risk-free advice. See, the Advocates have been through this. They have fought the insurance companies. They have won those fights against the insurance company. Let them fight for you. Let them win for you. Because again, as I always say, you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. So you have absolutely nothing to lose because you never reach into your pocket to pay the Advocates at theadvocates.com. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. Let's get right to work on the details of a G6 playoff. Now, we've been telling you this for how long? This is A, the right move. B, it has an avalanche of support amongst G6 universities. The issue here is the timing of a playoff. And you know, it's interesting. These things tend to come in spurts. We spent a lot of the last week working on the details of this and texting and talking. And it seems like over the last 10 days, 10 to 14 days, really, a lot of G6 momentum has occurred. And I think finally you have a lot of G6 presidents and athletic directors. And really, the most important part, the money. You have a lot of people that support the G6. That includes the TV partners we're going to get to in a minute, but a lot of foundational, important partnerships that have gotten on board with a G6 college football playoff, because I think a lot of people also recognize big changes coming to the playoff system. We have covered this ad nauseum on this show. We have talked about it in detail on this show. The college football playoff is going to change significantly, whether that is going to what I think will be 16 teams, because I just don't think that, you know, the P4 can agree on what 24 looks like. And when I say the P4, the SEC and the Big Ten with automatic qualifiers and strength of schedule, I think it's going to be very difficult to coalesce around a 24-team college football playoff. But who knows? We'll see, right? It's only a matter of time. But when you look at what the 16 and the 24 look like, a lot of those models being talked about at the P4 level do not include G6 championships. And I think that's one of the things that has to change, because as we've talked about on this show, it does the G6 no good to have a team or two in the college football playoff, because it just leaves a vast wasteland of teams that end the season unsatisfied at the G6 level. There is literally nothing to play for in the regular season if you are 99.9% of the G6 teams in this country. What if you think about that? And we all want to talk about how we're playing for conference championships. And if you're the MAC champion, if you think about any conference in the country and you say to yourself, if you're the Sun Belt champion, if you're on most years in the Sun Belt, are you going to the college football playoff? Do you have any chance if you were in the MAC? If you're Louisiana Tech, do you have any chance to go to the Sun Belt, to the college football playoff? You don't. And I think that's the That is the biggest struggle that most of the G6 faces, even in the American. I mean, the one-off Tulane. You look at conferences like Conference USA. How do you explain to Kennesaw State that you have no chance of getting into the college football playoff? What do you say to the mighty Western Michigan Broncos at 10-4? Yeah, hey, good season. Enjoy the nobody gives a rat's ass bowl, right? Because that's really what you are playing for. That's what you are playing for outside of Boise State. But even look at the Mountain West. How many years are we going to have Boise State and UNLV playing for a conference championship? If you are anybody that was in the Mountain, if you are anybody going into this new Pac-12, what are you playing for? Because you're not playing for a college football playoff championship. Even, let's say you're one of the 1/10 of the 1% in the G6 that actually get to the college football playoff. What do you are live bait. You're just chum in the water for P4 teams. That's what this really comes down to. And I know people are going to say that I'm being harsh and I'm biased. And yes, you're exactly right. But you know what? You can't say that I'm wrong. You can't say I'm spinning. You can't say that I'm not truth-telling, because the reality of this situation right now for the G6 is you're irrelevant. And you have to find a way to become relevant. And this framework that we're about to give to you for the first time, this framework, I think, makes the G6 relevant. And I think it's really important. And our sources in college football have told us that the G6 does, in fact, have a framework for a college football style playoff for the G6 exclusively. And we'll get into the barriers and whatnot here in a second. But the 6 conference champions at the G6 level would go into a 3-round tournament. The 2 highest ranked conference champions would have a bye week. You would have round 2 into round 3, which would be the championship. And it works very, very well. It plays alongside what would be the college football playoff. And I think it is exactly what should happen. You have the ability to do this G6 playoff format that's been presented to me by our sources over the course of 1 month. It's not 6-8 weeks. It's not 2 months and 3 weeks off. And it's actually a very tight format that works very well for college athletics. It works very well for the TV partners, who I think we've seen bowl television ratings outside of the college football playoff have been a struggle. This completely changes that. This feels like something that is, and this is probably why it won't happen, this feels like something that's very much based in common sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I completely agree. I mean, the G6 needs its own format. But 2, I completely agree that it needs to be smooth and it needs to be efficient. You don't want a G6 style format that drags on, or, if anything, if you're the G6, you want to take the lessons the Power 4 have learned and you want to parlay that into your playoff, and you want to make it the absolute best product it could possibly be, because for a fact that you are going to be playing alongside, I should say, the Power 4. And obviously, the same TV partners that are showing the Power 4 are going to be some of the same TV partners that are showing your games, your championship games and your college football playoff games. We talked so much about that with CBS and CBS Sports Network and these different, entities that cover, the Mountain West and the Pac-12 and these different conferences. So I just think it's high time. I agree. We've been talking about this for so long. But 2, I think we're getting to that point where so much progress is happening and so much is being pushed at the power level that whether the G6 liked it or not, they've been put in this position where it's forced their hand to now where they have to do something. And I think as long as it's a situation where they can make more money for themselves than they would have in what we have currently, which, again, with what you were just saying, 1 team in a year, maybe 2 if you're lucky, right? But most years it's going to be 1, and most years excluding once every decade, maybe you're not going to win that first game, right? Obviously, we saw JMU, obviously Boise State. So, I mean, there's just not enough opportunity for you. But yeah, I mean, if you can create this playoff where, hey, you've got the big games going on in the CFP, you can parlay some of that momentum into your college football playoff style championship. I mean, I just don't see how this doesn't benefit the G6 more than what they have now.
Yeah, and I think again the other details of this that matter. All of these are campus games except the championship game. That's something that I think every president and athletic director has really come together and agreed upon. College football is special when it's played at campus sites, and I think the G6 is frankly very aware of that. And I think you're seeing that there is agreement. These games leading up to what would be the championship game at the G6 level, which most people think would be played in Las Vegas, to no one's surprise, really. Those games will be played on campus, which is fantastic. I think that really matters. Maybe the most important part of these conversations I've been having here about this is that ESPN and Fox have shown strong support for partnering on a G6 championship. The issue is going to be ultimately, can the G6 conferences create a situation where all of their TV partners have an opportunity? The answer is probably not. That when you condense something down into 3 rounds over the course of a month, it's awfully difficult to put some of those games on CBS and some of those games on Fox. And it's not big enough. There's not enough inventory in a playoff system. It would quite literally likely come down to, hey, ESPN and ESPN Plus have all of the early rounds, the first 2 rounds, and then round 3, the championship game would be on Fox. Something like that, or flip. Hey, the early round games would be on. The issue becomes, will ESPN, who I think is the only network that has the infrastructure to correctly broadcast a 3-round, month-long G6 college football playoff tournament, because they can put it on multiple networks. They can put it on stream, like they can put it on phones, screens of all sizes. They have what you need. And I think one of the things that is going to be very difficult is, how happy will CBS be to take a backseat or have no bite at the apple in a G6 playoff? Because CBS looks to be the one on the outside looking in. And if we suppose that this happens and we lead a G6 championship game up to or right about the week of New Year's, CBS probably does not have the inventory to be part of that. It makes it very difficult. The other part of this that I think is very interesting is, what is going to push the G6 to execute something of this nature? Because I think the biggest issue will be, when do you get everybody at the G6 level to support this? And of course, I'm talking about the Pac-12. Because the Pac-12 believes that they're a P4 conference. They believe they're a power conference. They believe they should have an automatic qualifier into the college football playoff, which could be not possibly further from the truth. The Pac-12 is not a power conference. The Pac-12 deserves no automatic qualifier into the college football playoff. There is no world, no scenario, no logic involved where the Pac-12 has either earned on merit or any other metric the ability to have an automatic qualifier of its own into the college football playoff. That's not happening. So the question is it going to take the P4 stipending the G6? Is it going to take, hey, we'll give you $5 million to add to your prize pot in the college football playoff every year for eliminating you? Because there has been some conversation about that. Can the college football playoff incentivize the G6 not to partake? Because what is it going to take for the group of G6 presidents who are on the executive committee to say, okay, we won't take part in the college football playoff.
Yeah,
well,
money.
you and I both know it's money.
Yeah.
It is a financial incentive, and I think it's going to be very difficult. However, our sources have told us that the G6 has strong television support for its own playoff system, and they believe that whether that be private equity acting as a sales engine or their own sales engine, this is also something I think is very important to look at. The G6 does not operate the way the college football playoff operates. In that, there is no G6 playoff system or ecosystem selling that product. So as part of that G6 conversation in a playoff, and do you create an entity that houses the G6 that allows them to create a business entity to sell their playoff television product? There's so much ground to cover between where we are and how that would be, how a playoff at the G6 level would kick off. There is a lot of ground to cover, but I've talked to multiple administrators across college football at the G6 level who say there has been real momentum over the last, really, I guess this is about 2 months old. And now over the last 4 to 6 weeks, there's been real conversations, real momentum about getting a system in place to financially support the G6, because I think they see that the college football playoff opportunities are narrowing, and quite quickly and quite aggressively. And unless they act, I think the G6 is on the verge of being eliminated from the college football playoff, and I think they know it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in the sense that, you didn't eliminate yourself, right? It's not like the G6 was like, oh, we're not interested or anything like that. They've just been kind of pushed that direction with how this has gone. And so I think that if you're the G6, you share the same problems the P4 does, in the sense that there's so many cooks in the kitchen. There's so many people that have to kind of get on board with this, but money talks. And so if it is kind of an interesting revelation to think about, okay, well, the P4, kind of has this incentive to get the G6 sort of out of their way in a sense, and sort of, set them down their path. That way the P4 can just kind of focus on what they do. And there doesn't have to be this, like, again, everything from commissioners talking about it to the ESPN ranking shows to the drama online. Like, there's a lot that goes into, the G6's presence in the CFP. And I think that if this were to take place, if the Power Four could find a way, monetarily, obviously, or otherwise, to get them to go and do their own playoff, I think that in my opinion kind of sets a little bit of a precedent of like, hey, we're no longer doing a lot of this like auto qualifier or guaranteed spot behavior in the CFP, right? The G6 is going to a format where they, they're, like we're reporting, are going to do conference champions, and then those conference champions are going to compete for a national championship at the G6 level. And I think if you're the P4, there's some value in saying, okay, well, why aren't we doing something similar? Because again, Greg Sankey talked about it last week about 9 games and conference championship games. So you can't tell me that part of it's not a big deal, right? When you talk about the SEC and the Big Ten fighting, this is what they've been fighting about for ages. And you all told us that we had no idea what the hell we were talking about. And the Big Ten has never asked for, 8 auto qualifiers and all that. But we know that they did at one point ask for 8 auto qualifiers. So I just think that if you're the G6 and you're looking up the hill at the P4, you understand that they have problems at a bigger scale than you do. And I really don't think it would be like, yeah, there's ground to cover. I agree. There's a lot of details to it. Yes, it's complicated. But if you take a step back and you really look at it and you say, okay, yeah, we've got a structure in place. Let's just get the details hammered out. It really shouldn't take them like 3 to 5 years to figure this out. This should not be something that just takes forever, man. And I really hope that, I thought we were past the point of the Pac-12 being a problem for other people. I really had hope but I hope they don't stand in the way of this. That would be a shame.
I don't know that I don't think anybody's saying the Pac-12 would stand in the way of it. I think the Pac-12 wants to hold out in that they believe there should be a bigger slice of the pie, a bigger seat at the table, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And speaking of Big Ten asking for or suggesting, proffering the idea of, hey, the Big Ten and the SEC get 8 qualifiers each, I can tell you that multiple sources, half a dozen, have confirmed that. Like, it's not a question. Has the Big Ten on multiple occasions suggested 8 AQs? Yes, it has. And I think that the biggest issue to me is if you go to 24 teams, I just don't see how you can have quality enough competition to include the G6 on any level. You cannot continue to have the issues that we've seen historically with G6 teams in the college football playoff, which is you're just not competitive. The games are not of consequence. They are not close. You are never in a position to win those games. And I know that we all like to get bent over Appy State going to the big house and look what dude, you know how long ago that was? Was that 1937?
Might as well, man.
You look at the numbers. You look at the numbers. They're not good for the G6. And I just think, and it's harsh to say it. I get it. And I understand why it's upsetting. But you look at some of the metrics and the data, and you look at what the group of 6 has done, it's not ideal. It's not ideal at all. And I just don't, what is the point of eliminating 99.99% of the teams at your level? If you are the group of 6 conferences, most of your membership has 0 chance every single year of going to the college football playoff. How many outside of Boise? I would say UNLV, because UNLV's played for the Mountain West Championship, I feel like a decade straight. You look at JMU or the one-off teams, the Tulanes of the world. How many of those stories are written every year? 1? Right? It's just not, to me, it's not productive to continue to believe that this is the right place for the G6. And how, I guess that's my question. Like, how many of us believe that this is productive at this point? Is the college football playoff fair and equitable for the G6 universities or the group of 5s plus the Pac-12? It really has never been. And it was never designed to be, and it's never going to be. So the longer you fight that, and the longer you believe that if you're the Pac-12 that you should have an automatic qualifier, the longer you put off being relevant, the longer you put off making significantly more money for you and your partners in the group of 6. Every day that you fight it is another dollar that you don't make. And especially the Pac-12, who has made a living losing money somehow, some way for its entire existence. It's time to step away from that. It's time, in my opinion, to do the right thing. The group of 6 does not belong in the college football playoff. Go look at the results. Rarely has it been competitive. You're not making money. Nobody cares. Again, outside of rando fan, nobody cares about the we suck, they suck, let's go play a bowl game in December so that our fans can have a cool trip. I just don't think it matters. And I will again stand here and tell you, I guess I'm sitting here and telling you that you're losing money. You are just simply pushing off revenue that you should be making now by not embracing this system.
Yeah, and I think the competitiveness portion of the conversation, it's to the point where it's so bad that you're giving the Power Four team that the G6 plays a huge advantage in the CFP. I mean, the again, the drama around the CFP the last couple of seasons has been who had a couple of weeks off and who played the G6 team, and inevitably the team that played the G6 team and had that scrimmage, as everyone called it, has a huge advantage going into that next game because that game is a scrimmage. That is what it is, man. I mean, it's just not competitive, and so I just think it's just how the conversation has evolved, man. I don't think that the G6 did something wrong or the Power Four did something right. I just think that these schools have been operating at such a different monetary threshold and level that of course you are always going to be working in different directions, right? I mean, one continues to climb and one continues to stay at the same level. And so I just think that the Pac-12 is this conference where I agree that they've made a living on losing money, and I agree how. I don't know how that's even possible, but they have. But this conversation around your leadership, and you still have the old world leadership, that doesn't bring me confidence that they'll just so willingly move on from that thought about them, that thought of themselves being a Power Four team or in a Power Five team. Like I would guess that's a potential hurdle. But if the Power Four throws money in and stipends the G6, if you will, and does that, I would guess that would make it a little bit easier of a pill to swallow, given the legal fight that you're in, given the debts that you have and the things that you're working through. And I also think that there's this piece for the G6 that I hope they see, where it's like, hey, if you have this own system you've created, you're able to highlight more of those middle of the road and lower end brands through that process. I mean, again, there are schools in the G6 that literally nobody ever talks about, never see the light of day, but are on the schedule once a season. And I just think that there's more opportunity there if you're the G6. How cool would it be as fans to have a G6 college football playoff style tournament leading right into or alongside the CFP? If you had a Saturday full of, okay, we're going to kick it off with the G6, Power Four is going to get the money slot later in the afternoon, that 4 Eastern slot. I mean, that to me, just spitballing off the top of my head what we know about TV contracts and partners and how all that works, that makes perfect sense. And the beautiful part about it to me, if you look at the whole picture, is the G6 regularly competes in the tournament, right? The March Madness tournament, which they've just expanded to 76 teams. So if you're the G6, this isn't, in my opinion, a no-brainer. This isn't like, should we or shouldn't we? This isn't like, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. No, this is full steam ahead, hand the thing off, run right down the middle at this concept and get this done. Because if you can find a way to be nationally relevant more often, especially during the holidays when people are home, people are hungry for it, people want it, like the willingness to watch a UNLV championship game or a UNLV matchup in a CFP style G6 tournament is way up during that time of year. I know for me personally, I'm not hugely interested in watching rando college football game at the G6 level in October per se. But in December, when there's something on the line, okay, yeah, man, I'm already going to be watching football later today. Let me have that on the tube while I'm doing stuff, man. I mean, that's what we do as fans. So I just think they need to run full steam ahead at this.
Yeah, and I think again this is really, it's pretty basic. I mean, this is not complicated. And again, this is what I like about most of the G6 commissioners operate on common sense. Most. And when you figure, well, let's just take the 6 conference champions, put it into a month-long tournament, play the games on campuses, have the championship game in a destination on or around New Year's. This is not difficult. It truly is not something that needs to be overthought. It's not something that, to me, it's not complicated at all. I think its brilliance is its simplicity. I think it's very smart because it gives high leverage content to to ESPN and Fox, who I think, again, that they're the two that make the most sense. I think ESPN and Fox are the two entities that should be involved in this playoff. And Las Vegas is a perfect first time destination for the championship game. This just makes too much sense, and there's too much money. But again, I think it's going to be very interesting to see who's in and who's out. All right, let's get your thoughts. The math teacher, Maury Alvarez, first one in today with a $2 comment. Based in common sense, the Pac-12 will destroy it. Listen, they deserve that kind of ricochet stray, if you will.
I mean, the trust issues with the Pac-12 are alive and well. I mean, I do think that is a portion. Like if you're one of the other 5 conference commissioners, certainly Gloria Nevarez, but one of the 5 other conference commissioners, I mean, you can't tell me that there isn't some level of like, yeah, here we go again. Like this would require them to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're not a power conference anymore. We're a G6 conference. This would require them to take a step back and put their pride aside. And that's not something historically they've been willing to do. But what's the offer?
Yeah.
You know,
but what is the Pac-12 going to do ultimately? It's going to fall in line. And this goes back to, again, not to be a red ass about it, but this goes back to everybody saying, oh, well, Washington State and Kirk Schultz and $600 million. No, they're not. The Pac-12's, no, you're not. What's that soundbite? No, you're not. Right? Like you're going to fall in line.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
You're going to fall in line because you have no other choice. You can get left behind if you like. Don't participate. 5 conference champions and the highest ranked non-conference champion fill in for the Pac-12. Great, let's do it. Like it's not complicated. And that's why the Pac-12 will fall in line, because it is becoming more and more likely and more apparent there just is not a place for the G6 in the college football playoff. What are you, 0-4 going back to, what was that? The first game was like 2000 and I should look this up before I say something wrong. 2021. Cincinnati and Alabama, which is probably the most competitive game. But you look at Tulane and Ole Miss, what was that? 41 to something, 41 to 10 last year.
A lot to a little. Right.
You look at Oregon boat racing JMU last year. Didn't they score like 50 points on JMU? That's the regular. Right? Boise, Penn State a couple of years ago. 31 points. 41 points, I guess. 31 points, something like that. It's not competitive.
Yeah, it's just damaging to your TV partners, man. Nobody's watching that game. Everybody knows
nobody's watching that game.
Watching it.
Yeah. Good morning, Lopes fan Gabe. Yes, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. College football could learn from Live Golf. I have no idea what that means. No idea what that means. Wide open to that conversation. You've probably put some thoughts into that. Where is Jar Jar James? Oh, is that a May the 4th be with you reference? There you go. He's right there. I'm not here for it today, James. Please. Come on. May the 4th be with you.
There you go.
Looks like more weight Monty loses, the more color variations in his shirts. No. This is blue. I wear blue or black pretty much every day. That's it. I know what works and what doesn't for my eye. And, I would love to, I was telling my wife this weekend, I'd love to wear pink shirts. I'm fat. Just is what it is. You put on a pink shirt, you become a fat guy wearing a pink shirt. The Big Ten just paid their teams $1 billion. I hate the fact that the G6 can't compete with that. But how do you compete with that when you don't have viewership? You're in smaller markets. I wish we could let go, with all due respect. I wish we could let go of this thought process. You don't need to compete with the Big Ten. You don't need to. There's no reason to. You're not the Big Ten. You don't have that kind of enrollment. You don't have those endowments. You don't have those budgets. But what you have is more than enough. It's more than enough. All you need is to make as much money as possible.
Yeah, I mean,
to do that, you need to form a college football playoff for the group of 6 conferences.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like if you're somebody who thinks that the G6 should be trying to compete with the Big Ten. Generally speaking, I would say there's just no need for it. And furthermore, I would say if you want that to happen, push the narrative around competing on profit margin, not overall revenue. Because what I can tell you is a college football style G6, football tournament to determine a champion would absolutely help the bottom line. There's just no question about it. And again, you want to talk about incentivizing schools. You want to talk about incentivizing athletic departments to do a better job on campus, incentivizing them to care more, to put more of their time into the football team, not just, build Snapdragon Stadium, but actually fund your football team so they do anything on the football field. Yeah, you want to change that narrative, give them access to more money. Hey, you win your first game, your second game, you win the championship. These are the payouts. Plus, we're getting X amount of money from the P4 to put this thing together every year. Because again, I will also point out, if I'm the G6 and I'm negotiating this thing, you got to have that be an every year stipend in perpetuity. Like it can't be, oh, well, you're just giving us a 1 year. This is a one-time thing for us not to, for you to basically push us out of competing for a traditional national championship. I would be advocating for every single year, this is the fee for us not to compete in the college football playoff. And I think if you can do that and you can take care of your TV partners, you're going to be in a perfectly fine place, man. It's going to be perfectly fine. It'll work.
It should be G6 in any team that doesn't want to spend. Well, and now you're complicating it.
Yeah, I just don't think that's real world, dude.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't even know how you do that. Now the Pac-12 and American can brag who's the better conference. Yeah, let them fight to the death on that. Or the Pac-12 will sue for an auto bid. Could be. But
isn't that the beauty of it? There is no need for an auto bid conversation at the G6 level because it's perfectly worked out already. There is no. It literally is like I completely 100% agree that, hey, 6 conference champions compete in a 3-week tournament. It's not that hard to understand, dude. It's easy.
It's not difficult, in my opinion. Cryptic says, so how does this affect the P4 playoff? It doesn't. It's all power teams. But see, how it affects it is you actually have to get your ass in line. Right? Like and this is the Big 12's problem. Again, it's the same stuff I always say. The majority of membership in the Big 12 doesn't want to do what has to be done to compete at the highest level. And until you rid yourself of the TCUs, the Baylors, this thought process of we're not going to fire our coach because we want to save money, you need to eliminate those people. Because it's just not good enough. It simply is not good enough. That you don't compete on a regular basis in either college football or college basketball is a significant issue. And the fact that the Big 12 has, I would say, the majority of its universities who don't compete in both sports, and most is probably strong, but a significant majority of teams in the Big 12 don't compete at either sport. That's a massive problem. It's a massive problem because we've talked this to death. The Big 12's a 2-team league with no brand. BYU's the biggest brand in the Big 12. And it's not close. How much of an afterthought is UCF right now? How disappointing is UCF as a new member?
I think people forget they're in the conference half the time, legitimately. Not even being a red ass. I think people genuinely forget they're in the conference.
In Orlando, Florida. How, man? it's that mentality that is just death in this conference. It's absolutely death. And I'm certain that Dave Aranda is a super nice guy. He should be nowhere near a head coach's office. Not even as a coordinator can you allow him into the coach's office. He sucks that bad as a head coach. He's that feckless as a head coach. He's not allowed to go into a head coach's office because the stench doesn't leave when Dave's been in that office. That's probably too much.
And unfortunately, that stench, travels down the hallway to the president's and athletic director's office when they lied to us this offseason and said, oh, well, we didn't fire him because, we needed to save that cost and we didn't want to incur the buyout. And we're going to take that cost and reinvest it in the program and everything's going to be awesome. And I understand you're living on the DJ Lagway hype right now. But I hope people understand, dude, like if this is another 7-8 win season, you're not in the CFP, you're not even in the conversation of the CFP the whole season, just like you weren't last year. I have to keep pointing out what you did here in this Dave Aranda situation, just the same way we did with Okie Light, just the same way we continue to do that with K-State, just the same way we continue to do that with Sonny Dykes' ridiculous extension. Like it's over and over and over again. And again, I think people forgot that Matt Campbell left Iowa State. So it's not an exaggeration to sit here on a day when we're talking about a G6 college football style, playoff tournament at the end of the year being put together. It's not an exaggeration to say that dude, like the Big 12 is the most vulnerable conference, in my opinion, right now in college football at the power level. They cannot say that they are able to compete for a national championship. I'm not even saying win the damn thing. I'm just saying get a team there. All three other conferences have done that obviously the Big Two have done it regularly. The ACC's done it on a semi-regular basis. So I disagree with that earlier comment that said, hey man, dude, it should be the G6 and the teams who don't want to pay. No, it shouldn't be. The G6 should be their own thing, and that's really cool, and I respect that and love that for them. But the teams who don't pay should have to, at some point, either start losing money or get, as you said earlier, fall in line, dude. Yeah,
Look at Utah basketball. And as much love as I have for Utah football, and we'll see what Morgan does this year, Utah basketball is embarrassing. It is quite literally an embarrassment that fans don't come to your games. Your building's empty. You don't win games. You're the University of Utah, yet you're non-competitive in men's college basketball. How is that even possible, especially when right down the freeway, BYU is a behemoth?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Perfect blueprint for what you should do.
Right? So I look again, and I tend to mention the same teams in this league because it's the same teams in this league who continually make bad decisions. It is like I look at Colorado. I think Colorado is in a really difficult spot. But can you say that Colorado hasn't spent the money and done everything they thought they could do to win? I'm going to say that they thought they were going to win more in college football. And if Deion has another bad year, Deion's a disappointment in Colorado. Right? Because was Colorado at all competitive last year? They were not.
No. What have you turned into? But
huge transition from Shedeur and Travis. Okay, great. I'll give you that 1 year. But you can't turn into Baylor. Non-competitive football. Non-competitive basketball. You can't do it. You just can't. This league is so thirsty. Anyway, my point is, listen, I think the G6 is thinking pragmatically. I think the G6 is doing exactly what they should be doing. And if you have a month-long, college football playoff at the G6 level, I think it's brilliant. And you end up with a crown jewel event in a major event market on a major TV network, and you're distributing that money on some level. Now, that's the other sticking point, is that how does everybody in the G6 get paid by having a G6 college football playoff? Well, you don't.
Yeah, but you shouldn't. This is my point, dude. Everyone's trying to get on board with that. And
Right,
it's like,
but
dude, this is no
people
free
want
handout.
college football to be socialism.
Yeah, well.
And I'm telling you that it's not. It is, if you make it, you get paid. If you don't get paid. You go, because don't forget, it's not like there still aren't bowl games. There are bowl games everywhere. You still can have the, Jimmy Shoelace Factory bowl game with your favorite MAC and Conference USA matchup, right? Like, you still have those games. My point is, if you want the best money, and again, Big 12, you want to make the most money, do what has to be done, compete at the highest level.
Performance-based revenue sharing.
Period.
It's like, that's it. That's it. There's nothing else. I'm telling you, this is one of those line in the sand topics in college football. You're either pro, as we call it, socialism in college football, everyone getting a handout, or you're pro, hey, if you're putting the money in and you're performing and you have the results on the field, you're getting money out. And part of that is you got to put money in for a couple of years, not get anything back, to build your roster, especially at the Power 4 level with the NIL situation, the portal situation, to then build a roster that's productive. And again, that's why I'm saying, like, we just take for granted what some of these bros do who are in the CFP damn near every year. I mean, I'm telling you, that is the sort of the golden gate, if you will. Like, winning national championships from a legacy standpoint is what matters for individuals. But when you're a school, man, all that matters is getting into that tournament and winning at least one game. Because once you do that, now you're just profiting. Now that's all on top of your costs. You're in a much better position than you were at the beginning of the year. And I just don't think that if again, I get my balls busted over Dan Lanning constantly, but Dan or any of these other guys who don't win enough national championships but are in the tournament pretty much every year, like, you're doing a good enough job to support your school and your team and obviously your job. That doesn't mean that Nebraska should get a handout in the Big Ten, dude. That doesn't mean that these low-end Maryland or Baylor or whoever you want to look at should be getting handouts, dude. That's not how it works.
No, I don't believe in that. I believe in Mike Smith, who's been a member for 33 months. Michael, we appreciate you. Chewy Gonzalez, who's been a member for 17 months. Big 12 and ACC should merge with the top 8 brands in each. Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. I'm sure I'm going to hear from Baylor fan who's all rowdy about, because every time I talk about Baylor, the one Baylor fan that's still around comes out of the woodwork talking about. I'm just telling you, it frustrates me. So we cry poor and we make bad decisions. I'm broke. I can't. Make better decisions. Don't do stupid stuff. But you still want to cry poor, and it's the Pac-12. We do stupid stuff. We make stupid decisions. We move to stupid places. Then we lose money, and we don't know why. Well, is it because you moved to downtown San Francisco and paid trillions of dollars, not literally, into rent? Or that you had a suite at the Aria? Or that you rock PJs all over the country instead of flying commercial? I don't know. Or
you never did the direct TV or YouTube TV deal.
It galls me that we sit here and we talk about people like the Big 12 and not the Big 12 conference, because at the Big 12 conference level, I think they're doing, or I think it's Kirk Signetti who always says conference. At the conference level, they're doing great things at the conference level at the Big 12. The issue becomes when you get down to the individual members. And again, I'm sure Oak State James is having a hysterectomy in the comments section today, and I haven't even seen it, but I'm guessing, because again, I will tell you, it's teams like Oak State, TCU, it's Baylor, it's UCF, it's Iowa State. It's Iowa State sitting up there last year saying, our players are taking discounts to come back and play football at Iowa State. And Matt Campbell's now at Penn State.
Because he didn't want to take a discount and
Right.
took advantage of the success.
You're doing all of this stuff. You're making bad decisions constantly,
Cashless.
repeatedly, on a consistent basis. And we see the fruits of those bad decisions on the field of play. We see it at Cincinnati. We see it at UCF. We saw it. And I'll give them credit. Look at K-State. We foretold you of the K-State football disaster. And you guys all told us we're just being assholes and we hate K-State. How do you hate K-State? You don't. The issue is now K-State is completely flipped, makes a great hire who's all in on developing your quarterback, which is what college football should be about. The only thing you should care about and the only thing you should be doing is developing your quarterback. Period. End of story. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Facts.
But yet, we get bad decisions across this conference that doesn't have a brand. So, I would love to tell you that the ACC and the Big 12, but if you're the ACC, do you want to get into business with the Big 12?
Hell no. Hell no.
No, you have Florida State issues, you have Clemson and Dabo issues, and you have Jesus Christ issues in the ACC. But what you don't have an issue with is Miami, played for a national championship last year, who competes in college basketball and college football. I mean, come on. Like, just, it's fine. Whatever became of the accounting error from Arizona, people got fired.
Yeah, dude.
People got forced out, and they're trying to figure out how to print more money. Brandon Butler, I worry this would turn the G6 into the NIT.
Is it not already?
But the NIT, that doesn't make sense to me. The NIT is settling. If you're the G6 and if you're just tuning into the show, we have the details on a G6 playoff that would include 3 rounds, 6 teams, 3 rounds in a month-long tournament leading up to a championship game on or about New Year's, depending on how the TV slots work out. I think it's brilliant. You're the best 6 teams at the group of 6 level playing for millions of dollars. I'm here for it. Because I think that would motivate more G6 teams to do the job. And frankly, that's what's needed. Again, what is Dr. Ed Scott at Memphis always say? I don't deal in what if scenarios, scenarios. Yeah. I don't deal in what ifs. The NIT,
I don't live in a what if scenario.
The NIT is a fallback. The NIT is a disappointment. If you are the group of 6 and you do the work and you build the foundation and you end up with your own championship, which is going to happen. Because I think the G6 is now starting to see the revenue opportunities, both in the private equity and because the other thing that comes with creating a playoff at the G6 level, business and revenue generating opportunities that are only supported by business and revenue generating operations that create business and revenue generating opportunities. It forces your membership to operate at a higher level. That's what is needed. That's, again, not to keep picking the Big 12 scab. That's what you need in places like Fort Worth and Waco and Manhattan, Kansas, and Stillwater, Oklahoma, and Salt Lake City. Like you need it in Orlando. You need it across this conference where you have no choice. You either do what's required or you don't get paid. That's, I think, the only model that works, because these folks that run these institutions will not spend a penny. They are penny wise and pound foolish, man. Constantly, over and over again. It just, I know you hate it, but it is what it is, right? And Donuts, Big 12 and private equity deal looks like a Band-Aid for being relegated. I totally disagree.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd characterize it like that, dude.
I think it's a very wise decision. It's an opt-in, opt-out thing. Nobody is beholden to private equity in the Big 12. I would disagree with that. Even with all the money, how are teams in deep debt example, Rutgers, bad decision making. Listen, apply this to your own life. How do you continue to make the same mistake over and over again? Bad decisions, bad judgments. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to do this. It's all the people who go into business for themselves, because 99% of people don't have the balls to say, yeah, I'm probably not the guy who should be in business for myself. I shouldn't work for myself. Right? But you continue to make the same mistake and you think you're going to get a different result. See Rutgers. Right? You think that you can continue to do business the way you've always done business, and magically the pot of gold will appear at the end of a rainbow. That's not coming. It's not going to happen, because you're making the same mistake over and over again. And pick any of the schools we've talked about here, but you look at the dregs of the Big Ten. You look at Iowa. You look at any of the mid-table teams even. Look at USC. Are you going to play defense or not? You have all the talent in the world. You have a really good coaching staff. You guys going to tackle? Okay, well, enjoy funding Lincoln's buyout. Because, you can't think you're going to do the same stuff. So I think USC is a great example. USC is watching people make ridiculous money in the Big Ten. And USC is trying their level best. They are busting their ass to win football games. But they keep doing the same thing the same way all the time. So they don't win football games because they don't tackle well, ultimately. It's not rocket science, man. I have very little sympathy. And I think Baylor is probably the best example in the Big 12. God, you're terrible at your job. You're terrible at winning football games. Your basketball coach was interviewing for jobs. You're not good at running college athletics. And yet you think a different result will come. It's Sonny Dykes at TCU. It is Mike Gundy at Oak State. It is, just Scott Frost at UCF. You're not winning games, bud. That's not happening. Not. And now look at Oak State. Oak State has made sweeping changes. It better turn, I would assume, I don't want to get carried away, but I would assume with Drew, an esthetician, as your quarterback, you're going to actually win a conference game this year.
Well, Monty, 70 yards down the field in spring practice. Come on.
Everybody looks good in shorts and T-shirts. My point is, Oak State's made significant changes in their leadership in the football department. I would hope they win games. The 6 conference champions get auto bids. 10 would be at large bids. What are you talking about? Who's talking about?
Why are we making this harder than it needs to be?
Yeah. There's no reason to make it more difficult. If this playoff happens, the championship should get one spot in the CFP, because at that point they would have earned it. Yeah, I don't think so.
Nope.
The G5, G6 thing is, what are they, 0-4 in the college football playoff?
And again, we obsess as fans, and I feel like, obviously some administrators at the G6 level obsess on it. Dude, they don't have to compete. It's not an indictment on their personal character that their football team doesn't have the resources and doesn't have the talent to compete with Power 4 squads. It's basically an economic issue that you're never going to overcome. That's just the reality of it. Both you not wanting to spend, but also the fact that, you're just not playing, you're not in the same situation. It is what it is. I just think that there doesn't need to be the need to connect these two. The truth is that this has always been clunky. This has always been this narrative or feeling of this sense of obligation to the G6 from the Power 4 is only there because they didn't have a better solution. We've been asking this question for, years at this point. Since probably 20 or 21. Hey, what are we doing about the G6? What's the best path for the G6? How can we? This is not new. This source of information we have, though, is what's new. And I think that I'm glad that we're finally starting to hear this, because I maintain, to what you were saying a moment ago, that you need to stop living on what the P4 is willing or not willing to give you as like a school or a conference or a system, right? Because that's what the G6 has done. Oh, well, the Power 4 is willing to give us one spot, or the Power 4 is willing to give us two spots, or like 1 year we've got our guaranteed spot, and then 1 year we've got a guaranteed spot plus a team that was able to make it, and now that team's not able to make it because Ashton Jinty's in the league. Like, I just think it's you can't do business that way long term. You have to have your own thing, and that's where I say you're probably right. Pac-12 type situations will work themselves out. They won't have a choice. They'll have to fall in line. But again, I will keep asking the question. Who's the one that's spearheading the conversation? Who's the one that's bringing everyone together? Because my guess is it's probably Gloria, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, the G6 and that group of commissioners hasn't really been through something like this before.
Little breaking news for you. Legendary Yankee radio voice John Sterling has died this morning at the age of 87. You know that John recently, in recent seasons, stepped away. Another voice of that generation has gone. And certainly John Sterling has an indelible place in the history of Yankee baseball. And his calls, the Yankees win,
yeah.
I mean, the guy is a legend. And I think we all knew that John was on the clock. And somebody on Twitter said he's been called home. Okay. Whatever that looks like. I mean, John Sterling, one of the great broadcasters. Was he for everybody? No. But you knew who John Sterling was as soon as you heard it. And some of the legendary moments, some of the legendary calls. John Sterling dead this morning at the age of 87. I grew up listening to Harry Carey and Steve Stone. I grew up listening to Jim Durham, Chick Hearn, Marty Brenneman, the great broadcasters, the storytellers, Vince Scully, obviously. And you hear those voices in your mind, they just don't exist anymore. That era, that style of storyteller, it's really unfortunate. And a lot of it is we don't listen to baseball on the radio anymore. Mm-hmm. That's just not how we listen to it. But I would tell you that guys like Pat Foley and Dale Talon doing Blackhawk hockey, as a kid listening to the Chicago Blackhawks on the radio, incredible moments that I will never forget. Just incredible moments.
Yes.
And you listen to the names and you listen to the calls. It's just incredible. John Sterling was Yankee baseball for how long? And obviously Michael Kay on Yes Network. But you listen to those voices and you just realize they're the ones that you were tuning in for, right? You wanted to spend some time with Harry Carey, like Len Casper, who somehow works for the Chicago White Sox now instead of the Chicago Cubs. I love Len Casper. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are some talented guys. Harry Carey, Vince Scully, Marty Brenneman, the voices, they're gone. And they're never coming back. And it's really unfortunate because it's changed the way we listen to games. Like Kruk and Kuip in San Francisco. And Mike Krukow now doing far fewer games because of health issues. The out of here calls. Like, you think of the great voices of the game of baseball. Appreciate them while you have them. I say this all the time about Guys like Kobe, guys like LeBron right now. LeBron single-handedly beating the Rockets the other night. Appreciate the performances.
Yeah, they're artists, man. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Yeah, guys like Jack Buck, Keith Jackson. Yes. Incredible. And I just think baseball is different. I think baseball, when you think about the voices of baseball and the relationship that a guy like Vin Scully from New York and Brooklyn, New York to Los Angeles. Do you understand how important Vin Scully was in the transition of the Dodgers from Brooklyn to LA? Like, it was critically important. Do you understand how much of a relationship Laker fans had with Chick Hearn? As somebody who got to work with Chick Hearn on a regular basis for several seasons in Los Angeles, the special relationship that Chick Hearn had with Laker fans, you'll never, ever understand it. You'll never understand it because it's so hard to describe what John Sterling meant to Yankee fans because you've never used a transistor radio. You've never fallen asleep listening to a ball game, right? It's just not the way we ingest sports anymore. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but you look at the names, and baseball just has that certain something. I think because it's every day, because they don't wear face masks or an NFL style helmet or a racing helmet, you just become intimately familiar with their faces and their voices. It's the Tom Lasordas of the world, or hell, I hate his guts, but Bob Costas in St. Louis, the Buck family. You think about, Bob Uecker in Milwaukee, or you think about all of these great names and voices, Mike Shannon in St. Louis, right? Like you think about all these great names. And I am very fortunate. I'm 53. I am very fortunate to have grown up in the mid to end of the golden era of broadcaster. And now with John Sterling passing this morning, I think it's a good opportunity to just say, you know what? Yes. Amazing. John Sterling was amazing. That generation of broadcaster was amazing. Truly amazing. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that those guys, the thing that they did, it just is so much better, in my opinion, stylistically than a lot of the stuff we get today. Is you had, it was just a lot more conversational. Vin Scully obviously built his Hall of Fame career, his iconic career, on his ability to call the game, but talk about so many different things while inside of the game. And I think that anybody that is from that cut, from that era, was just so good at that. And I think that that's what the relatability piece was, is that to your point, like you, if you're a fan of whatever your baseball team is, the faces of these guys, right? Like, Bregman's face, Rizzo's face, knew those guys. And that imagery in your head with, who's calling the game, whatever one of these guys you want to look at, you just know, yeah, man, like I know what that guy looks like. I know what the ballpark looks like. And it's just this special relationship that you get between the announcer's voice to what you're imagining. And I think that unfortunately, we don't get exposure to that a lot anymore because, again, the advent of the smartphone. And it is that's why I say regularly, it is a love-hate relationship. The video that gets put through the smartphone that we ingest on a daily basis is both amazing. I both love it and I hate it because, like, I love, golf coverage or ball games or whatever it might be. I love the technology we have. It's revolutionized the TV viewer experience. But at the same time, I think we can all agree that there are those days where you yearn for a simpler existence, in the sense that you just want it to be a warm summer day with the ball game on, doing whatever the hell you're doing.
Well,
and that's tough.
I can tell you, like playing wiffle ball in my backyard as a kid, like I was a big transistor radio guy, and I had WGN on with the Cubs, and I vividly remember we had a shed in our backyard, leaning the transistor radio against the shed, playing wiffle ball, listening to the Cubs game, and you're hearing those voices on the radio, and you hear the hot dog vendors in the background banging their hot dog boxes, or you hear them talking about Budweiser and Old Style, and you have Jack Brickhouse and Harry Carey, and that was Cubs baseball to me. And the 2 years I spent in St. Louis were so magical because I got to meet a lot of these guys we're talking about. Like sitting next to being on the Cardinals broadcast, sitting next to Mike Shannon was one of the one time. It was amazing. But sitting at Mike Shannon's Steak and Seafood at the ballpark and talking to Tony La Russa and Tommy Lasorda and Bob Costas and Bob Uecker and all of these guys that came through and sat with Mike Shannon and just talking baseball, and you don't have to say anything because they'll sit down and you just listen to the stories being told. And I mean, it's amazing what the history of the game, like, you know, being around the Dodgers for several years in Los Angeles, just the history that you see and what it feels like to be on the field at Dodger Stadium just during batting practice. There's no feeling like it. There's no feeling like it. I'm telling you, it's just so different it's so different. Camping in remote Southeast Utah, listening to BYU football on a tiny radio.
Yeah, and I think that's part
Greg
of the
Vrabel on the radio, man.
Yeah, like Greg's a good example. I think he does a phenomenal job. You know, I think that you know, outside of his one little toe dip in the water of politics several months back on his Twitter, Greg has done a great job staying out of the mix and doing his thing. And I think that the accessibility piece of radio is what made it great. And I think the business piece of radio is what ultimately killed the platform. And that to me is one of the biggest travesties we have in sports content is that it's just not, it just went sideways and there's no controlling it or altering that, man. And it is really unfortunate because the kid that's got a tiny little radio in his backyard while he's playing in his backyard, like that's what radio needs. That's part of what your life should be as a kid, is like being able to learn how to use that and like go through that. And I'm telling you, the technology is our best friend and our worst enemy, man. It is a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, and I'll just keep telling you, it's guys like in the modern day, Pat Hughes, who's the radio voice of the Chicago Cubs.
Legend.
I'd much rather listen to Pat Hughes than, I mean, it just would.
How many of you have listened to Pat Hughes while having the ball game on the TV and muting the TV? We've all done it. I do it regularly. I mean, that's a thing. Hey, I want to listen to the voice that I want to listen to call the game, but I have the game on the TV as well. I mean, I'm telling you, that is a regular occurrence. And like for me, the Len Casper era for the Cubs was absolutely prime. I mean, he was, he's the guy that I grew up with for sure. I mean, Jim Carrey was childhood Cubs for me, but Len Casper was the guy.
Carey? You just said Jim Carrey.
Harry Carey, sorry.
I should get to punch you right in the face.
I know. Anyway.
Jake said Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is just those voices that cover your teams are irreplaceable.
They really are. And, Jim Henderson to the Saints, but I look at somebody like Jeff Joniak for the Bears. I'd much rather listen to Jeff Joniak call a Bears game than a national broadcast. It's one of the things I really like about Sirius XM. I get the local broadcast, which I love. Just curious, Monty, have you ever gotten to speak with any of them? With any of who? You mean like I've met everybody pretty much we've talked about. Harry Carey. I worked for Chick Hearn for years at KLAC in Los Angeles. Worked with Mike Shannon at KTRS in St. Louis. Kruk and Kipe at KMBR in San Francisco. I've been very fortunate. I worked in radio at a great time. SLC was very lucky to have Hot Rod and Steve Klauke. I would agree with that. Hot Rod Hundley was amazing. Amazing. Awesome. Modern announcers are far too into stats and analytics than the story of the game because they don't have the story of the game.
Nope.
They don't have the history of the game on their side. And Donuts, Chick was the best. Swing left, shoot right, bunny hop. Oh, the butter's getting hard. Yeah. The Jello's jiggling. For sure. Madden and Summerall for NFL football way back. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I appreciate all the reminiscing and you guys indulging me while I go on. Marcus says that Oak State James did have a meltdown in the comment section. You just missed it.
Oh,
did I really?
Okay. Let me.
Let's see. I didn't think he was here today, but I'm trying to go back up to find it. Good morning, Lonnie Johansson, who's been a member for 31 months.
Okay, let's see.
Lonnie, good to see you. Good morning from Kansas. Go Big 12 and BYU. Good morning. Oh, Monty, all the Iowa State players made more money than they did the year previous. Well, then why sit up on a stage and say they took a pay cut? You remember? I mean, obviously, we played it on the show, right? We all remember that. I'm not saying you're wrong. Maybe they did, but I wouldn't say that out loud. Yeah, Tang going back to Baylor. Top assistant.
Bro. He not to completely derail us. At 5:42, James went full pissed off commenter guy.
Oh,
saying
did he really?
He goes. He's after TCU and Baylor again to piss off fans. I'm out. See you tomorrow. Come on,
I'm trying to piss off fans. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm here just to piss off fans. What if, listen, and I know James is a fan of Baylor and whoever else. You can say you don't agree with me, but you can't tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? I mean, you're not wrong. Like,
is what it is. James said they're trying to get reactions by saying stuff about TCU and Baylor, so he said he was out. Okay. Well, have a good day.
Okay, here's the real ratio, dude. If you really want to get into it, if you think that the best way for us to get clicks is by pissing off the 3 TCU and Baylor fans, that's not, that math doesn't math, dude. There's no, we're not a TCU and Baylor show, bro. We're not. And TCU and Baylor are not the ones trending on YouTube right now, right? They're not the ones driving the conversation. So
no.
I don't know, dude. I think that the bitterness, that's what I'm talking about. There's bitterness amongst fan bases, and I understand. Listen, I'll even cut you some slack. I understand you're annoyed. Your teams are not doing what they need to do. I get it. But
yeah,
that doesn't mean we're trying to get clicks off of it. You're find me the last time the show title had anything to do with Baylor or TCU. Like, sorry, bro.
James will boycott the show for all of 1 second. That's up to him. James is the latest dude who doesn't embrace his place in the comment section. You can't say outrageous things with no bearing and no foundation, get your ass handed to you, and then blame me for speaking truth about Baylor and TCU. The Jar Jar James jokes made him mad. He does not appreciate when people joke with him.
Yeah, Frogfather starting the comment section today with Jar Jar James did not put James in a solid position.
James is probably their financial advisor. Could be.
Who knows? Jason
took a pay cut by not taking more money from the SEC and the Big Ten offers. Could be. Monty and Jake love reading Clownzano. Since moving to the PNW, they have become huge fans of his hardcore honesty. You know me.
Man, just, dude, knocking down that paywall to get to that content, bro.
The fact that people, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. If you're just tuning in this morning, we have details on a proposed G6 playoff. It'd be 6 teams over the period of a month with everything but the championship game played on campus. So you would have the 6 conference champions, the top 2 get bye weeks. It would take a 4-week period, and you would play the championship game on or about New Year's week. And I think it's exactly what you should be doing. ESPN and Fox have voiced clear and strong support for partnering with the group of 6 conferences, who they already do. I would remind you, ESPN has a lion's share of the G6 inventory. And with its ability to structure content across multiple platforms, ESPN would seem to be the ideal broadcast partner for a playoff of this variety. But of course, not all G6 leagues are fully on board, including the Pac-12, who believes that they are a power conference and they need more access. Even though no G6 team has ever won a college football playoff game, they are 0-4. The Pac-12 is going to Pac-12. And I say, hey, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Another big one to talk about today, Lane Kiffin. LSU spring ball came to an end. Lane Kiffin, finally, and I've asked him to watch the show many times, right? He's my Lanning's throat slammer. I'm a huge Lane Train guy. Wish he had gone to Notre Dame when we asked him to. He did not. But Lane Kiffin finally is on board with my mantra that one transfer portal is not enough.
Yeah, I've been very open about that. I wish that there was another one. I've talked to coaches about that, and coaches that have been somewhere 2-3 years feel differently because they like that they have their whole roster and that they've evaluated it for a time. So they knew what was coming back before. They knew how it fit, how the players knew you. But in your first year, yeah, I don't think many coaches would say that, but if they were honest, they'd probably say that they wish there was one. But there isn't, and so, you got to look at it more like old college football, not the NFL, which otherwise it's become like the NFL, meaning you're moving through free agency, trying to improve your roster, where the old college way was this is what you had, period. There was no portal, and you got to develop those guys. So that's our challenge to our assistant coaches is, hey, there's nowhere to go, so let's make sure we're developing our guys the best we can and looking at what they can do, not what they can't do.
I don't think this is controversial. I believe there should be a second transfer portal. I think spring ball is an incredibly important period of analysis. And I've never understood why you're not allowing players and coaches to improve themselves after spring football. Careers come to an end every year in spring football, not because of injury, but because you are now a square peg in a round hole and you don't fit on a roster. Why not allow those kids to transfer? Why not allow them to transfer? It's something that I will never agree with. When you say to somebody, okay, you are going to have one window, that's it, and good luck in spring ball. You're limiting the on-field quality of product. You are limiting the ability of coaches and players to find the exact right fit. Because not every player fits into a new coach's system, which is why you're allowed to transfer if your coach gets fired. Totally get it. I don't know what the right formula for transfer portals are.
Clearly not this one.
Clearly not one in December. That's a mistake. There should be 2 transfer windows. One has to be after spring football.
Yeah, I mean,
between spring football and fall camp.
Yeah, I mean, this formula is not working clearly, and I agree that there's got to be, look, if you're only going to have one window, it's got to be after spring football. I agree with that. We've talked about that. If you're going to have 2 windows, the only issue I have with 2 windows just would be, again, the timing, right? I mean, the window being during the college football playoff as it currently sits is kind of a ridiculous situation, right? I mean, you're not like that. That to me is just kind of a wild position to be in. And, what's difficult is that you have this dynamic that takes place where the season comes to an end, the CFP, we crown a champion. And in my opinion, you need to have a window that opens as soon as that clock strikes 0 on the championship game, right? Like that should be when that first window opens, in my opinion, because the season's over. These kids need to get to their new programs, their new situations, so that they can take advantage of spring ball if they're in that position. Just the same way that a team that got eliminated from the CFP, who's sitting around for a month or whatever in December and January, are waiting for the season to end. And there are kids that are going to try to make or break in spring. And if they don't make it, they probably should have an opportunity to leave after the spring window. The problem I have, though, is when you compare and contrast the modern day of college football to what we used to have and how that affects kids. Like it used to be, hey, like you can transfer one time, and that's under certain conditions and things like that. But I agree that was too restrictive, right? I mean, that put kids in kind of a tough position. But I've never been for the idea that, this kid just doesn't like it here or whatever. Like there's those kids out there that we've all heard about that just want to transfer a million different times and play for like 5 different schools. And they don't value the idea of, hey, I'm a freshman and I need 2 years of development before I can sniff the field. Those kids, I have a problem with them having the same type of access as a kid who wants to leave because spring ball didn't work out or it's a different situation. But there's no way to sort of find the middle between those two. So the current situation we have sucks. I don't mind one window, but if you're going to have one window, it's got to be after spring. If you're going to have 2 windows, that second window needs to work with the first window. In this, like you can't just have them randomly placed and just causing chaos. It doesn't work that way, or it shouldn't work that way.
I don't disagree with that at all. I would agree with that. Big Blue Horses, who's been a member for 30 months.
Nice, dude.
Great Derby, great show. Keep on rocking. Thank you. Yeah, the Derby was pretty interesting this weekend. Not that I watched because,
I watched it on Twitter. I watched the highlighted buddy running from the back of the pack.
I don't like murdering horses. And Donuts, a member for 27 months. How's PNW life treating you guys? Now it's great. The weather's been beautiful. Played some really good golf. Friday couldn't miss a putt. Saturday couldn't make a putt. But I'll tell you what, the weather here has been amazing. It's been unseasoned. We're going to get record-breaking heat in Seattle today. So it's probably going to be miserable in the middle 80s, I guess it is, or something.
Hey, listen, you have air conditioning, though. Like you're not one of these folks that's living out in the suburbs with no air conditioning. Those are the folks that are going to suffer.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a terrible mayor in Seattle. Other than that, everything's great. Rock and Rant, who's been a member for 21 months. Wow. If only one portal window, it should be spring. And I hate it because what is it now? It's like January 2nd through the 16th.
Yeah.
And if memory serves, it used to be like December, early December to the end of like the first week of December, like let's say December 10th through like New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would get a second one like tax day. Because some people used to refer to it as the tax day portal, like the 15th through the 30th, let's say. I agree you can't have the portal during the college football playoff. It does not work. But as you guys hit the like button here on the Monty Show, I think having multiple windows is really important. I think it's really, really important. Multiple transfer portals it's vital. I think you have to do it. And I agree with Lane Kiffin because he's brilliant and he's a master of all things, including
he damn
debating.
well better be. He better be.
You know, all things. Never mind. Cougs Johnson. Teams like Rutgers should have been demoted to the G6 15 years ago. Making that bread though.
Again, bro. What's the term? You're a number. You're a number on someone's schedule, dude. You're helping other teams succeed, and through that process, you're getting paid a fee. It's a perfectly fine partnership.
Where did this Jar Jar Binks thing come from with James?
Yeah, the Jar Jar Binks thing came from the Frog Father this morning. I don't know. It's a Star Wars reference. May the Fourth be with you. So what he's done is Mike had the first comment today. Congratulations, Mike. But Frog Father comes in and says, "Where is Jar Jar James?" with the second comment. And then James has the third comment saying, "Really, Jar Jar James? It's just James." And then, of course, the Frog Father goes, "Good morning, just James." And then James is like, "Yeah, Frog Father, what gives? What the heck did I do to you?" And from there, it just went downhill. So,
okay,
that's the genesis of the, I guess, imminent, impending James, boycott number 2.
The James inability to embrace his role on the show, legendary.
You might be like one of the biggest stars the show's ever produced out of the comment section. Like, you understand that, right?
And there have been many. Many. And I agree. Oak State James is one of the biggest pedophilia priest hunters we've ever seen in the comment section. So, Christine, I wholeheartedly disagree on 2 transfer portals. Big schools are already tampering with players. Tampering's illegal. Spring transfer just end most schools' season due to late money offers from big schools. True.
Tampering.
Money talks.
Yeah, but see, you know the hard part with that though is, dude, I don't think you can have the conversation from the standpoint of, well, I only want one window because if we had 2, then all the schools are just going to tamper. Do you think they're not tampering with 1? Do you think that the bigger schools with the extra NIL money are not tampering already? Yeah, is tampering illegal on paper? Yeah. Does that mean tampering doesn't take place? Absolutely not. And that's the thing. That's the term I've coined, nice guy radio, nice guy-isms of like, oh yeah, man, dude, one window, we can't have 2 because if we had 2, then there'd be tampering. Yeah, bro, but we already have tampering, brother. So instead of having just 1, we should have 2, but the 2 need to work together to facilitate proper movement of players. That's the issue, dude. So I'm not here for, well, man, tampering, and it's already happening, man, whether you like it or not.
Reagan on TikTok. Does James say stupid shit just to get attention? Constantly. He says stuff just so you will read his comment. And then gets upset when somebody calls him out. You talk about a team and all of a sudden James is a fan of that team and he is, quote unquote, the aggrieved party on the show for the rest of the show. The guy is always a victim. I am a Baylor fan and I agree with you 100%. We are embarrassing. We should be the brand, not an afterthought. See, so not all Baylor fans, not all Baylor fans think that we're just, we're rage baiting Baylor fans on the morning program.
They're playing for clicks.
Come on. The fact that only one transfer window, the fact that they only transfer window in football is during the season is honestly ridiculous. It's not during the season.
No, it's after the season now. They moved it.
Yeah, it moved to January. I should look it up before I give you
But
bad
I do agree with the
information.
premise of
I think it's January 2nd it opens.
Hey, like, the transfer window, having only one window and having that window be at the end of the regular season still puts a ton of strain on your coaching staff. Like, you're still having all these conversations while the CFP is happening. There's no question about that. You're still going through all the texts and the emails and the calls and the meetings and all of that while you're also preparing your team. There's no question about that. But the problem is that let's say you nail the one window that you do have now, but there's a kid on your roster who becomes, excess, who becomes no longer needed after your transfer portal acquisitions. That kid can't move now. And that's why we don't need to move the one we have now. We need to add one more after spring, and that will take care of it. And anything after that, any complaints you have, I don't give a damn if it's tampering or NIL budgets or roundtables in the government or whatever it is, dude. That's the setup that works best given the system that we have currently. And they would make no sense to put a transfer window before the season or in the middle of the season or at the end of the season. After the season, we have one window, another one after spring ball. That's it. It's not that hard to understand.
Only one actual transfer window you can transfer after CFO if coach got fired or you graduated, then transfer portal for all after spring ball. Yeah, sure. Something. Chris and Hugh Janus, you will agree with Lane now because he is at LSU and he has an abundance of money. Dude, I've been deep throating Lane Kiffin for like a decade. I take it all, bro. He wouldn't be saying this if he was at Ole Miss.
Brother, he did say it at Ole Miss, dude. This is see, again,
look,
it's
guy.
So funny, dude.
And we were saying that.
Dude, on a day when James is getting absolutely bag slapped for the stuff that he said today, you're trending down that path, bro. And you're a newcomer here. Never seen you before. Really appreciate your contributions today. Genuinely, I do. But if you think that Lane Kiffin didn't talk about money at Ole Miss, you haven't watched Lane Kiffin press conferences, dude.
Yeah. Group hug. Okay. Misa, Saya, James, Musa comes back, Anakin. Okay. I hate Star Wars. It's always a downward spiral with frog lover James. It always is. Tampering is illegal because it's illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal and it never happens. Okay, dude. Sure. Yeah, we'll all just live in that fantasy land, bro.
James fighting with his fellow TCU fans. This is what the world has become. Thank you, Yam Tits.
Because it's illegal.
Does Mike Vrabel... Oh, God, why did you have to bring up Mike Vrabel?
Dude, bro.
Does Mike Vrabel support one transfer portal or two? Now, so can we talk about... Let me ask you this. How is Diana Rossini, or excuse me, how has Big Nose Kate and Mike Vrabel become a cultural phenomena? How did we get here? Somebody explain this to me. Because we just can't quit these two. Right? Like, I'll never understand. It's sex. She's got a huge rack. Dudes are obsessed. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
Uh-huh.
Guys think Diana Rossini's hot. They would smash. Mike smashed, allegedly. So now we want to know how the smashing went. Totally get it. But this is months now. Patriot players on live streams are talking about what a legend Vrabel is. Diana's a hoe who can't work in sports media anymore. Right? Like, and then you start seeing that it's found its way into like the NBA. This is inside the NBA. Well, Tatum and Jalen are on the boat because they're done.
Yeah.
And Matt Damon's back there in the background. I believe that's Jason Bourne. Or no, Goodwill Hunting. Okay, whatever. And then you have Big Nose Kate and Mike Vrabel.
Doing the Titanic, I might add.
I am amazed that here we are turning two people who smashed while married to other people into cultural phenomena in this country. I want to understand it because I still don't understand it. I'm not fascinated with this story. I'm not obsessed with this story. It is possible I could care less. So I have some level of caring.
Oh, shit.
What happened to my camera? But it's not much. I'll be honest with you. It's not much more that I have very little F's to give to this story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's about, obviously it plays a part that they're Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. Like they're those two people, Big Nose Kate, in the positions that they're in and the position of affluence that they're in. Obviously that plays a role. But I think the far bigger thing, the thing that makes this story keep going, the thing that just breathes life into this story endlessly is that it is the cardinal sin of all cardinal sins, right? Cheating on your wife or cheating on your significant other is the cardinal sin of life, dude. If you do that, you are forever a douche. You are forever a bad person, and there is no like unwinding that watch. And I think that dynamic for the common person, the fan, the person who's not in the media, doesn't care about the media, like reporter obligation part of the conversation or any of that, like just the common NFL fan, that part of it, I think, is what keeps this thing going. Inside the NBA, they did a whole thing on it. We can't play it. It gets copyrighted every time. That's why we only have the picture. But the whole bit that they did on it, I mean, it was funny. I have to admit, like they did a good job. It was a little out of left field. It was unexpected. I didn't see that coming out of them. But if you're going to do it, do a good job with it. And they did. Okay, cool. But it's definitely one of those things. Like it is an opportunity to have a laugh, which I also think contributes to why it continues to be, it continues to get run. Because that's certainly, we talked about this last week on the show. For those of you who remember, we had bandied about how long this story is going to live, how long before this story dies. And largely it had been dying. Like we had gotten to the weekend. There wasn't really any updates.
I totally disagree. Well, I think the fandom and the obsession with these two has not waned at all. Has not waned at all. The fact, like him and his wife now apparently had joint sex therapy. He cheated on me. What a dick. Counseling. Right? Like now they're doing it together. And I just think this story never ends. We are so, if it's sex, big breasts, and infidelity, oh my God, it'll live forever. It'll live forever. And I think that's exactly what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's Mike Vrabel. He's famous. She's, voluptuous. People like her. I think it just is what it is. I think it just is what it is. And I think it's awfully difficult. People just can't let it go. People just can't let it go. I don't even know what else why do you care? Yeah. Why are you, because you are obsessed with this story.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think it's a great story. I mean, it's
right.
Everything that's wrong with decision making. It's everything that's wrong with decision making. It is two people of affluence who have life on autopilot, making it harder than it needs to be, which is always a recipe for a great story, in my opinion. I think Mike being in the Patriots organization doing this has made it even more interesting because, obviously you're working for a guy who's got a little bit of a track record of doing interesting things in certain massage parlors. So there's that angle of it. I just think there's a million different ways to go with the conversation. I mean, that's why, like, I'm not necessarily celebrating that these two have cheated on their significant others. That's not ever really been my motivation. But if we're just talking about, ranking this or like, where does this story fall in line of enjoyable topics to talk about? Yeah, it's an enjoyable conversation to talk about because ultimately, like these two had everything, dude. You literally got it made, and you made this decision. And what really galls me about it is that you got comfortable to the point where you brought this out under sunlight, as I always say. The moment you take this thing outside of the front door, you're asking for trouble. It's only a matter of time. Because until that happens, nobody knows where you live. Nobody knows this spot or that. Like, nobody cares, dude. It's behind closed doors. It's a private thing. Like, that is what it is. But the problem is then when you bring it into the public, I don't care if it's a private resort. The public has access to the resort. It's a public resort. Okay? That's the truth. So the moment you take it there, the moment this screenshot right here is infamous because these two were talking about Jen Vrabel and what she's better at than Mike in terms of sports. And it's one of the most iconic clips going around with the story. So it's stuff like that where, hey, we know this has been going on for 5 or 6 years or whatever. We've seen these two now sit in chairs like this during camp or whenever this was and talk about Jen Vrabel like on TV. Like you guys are just, you're the worst of the worst. And at the same time, the story
You're the
of it
worst
is the best of the
of
best.
the
dude.
worst.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, how are you sitting there talking about Jen Vrabel when you two are cheating? Like, he's cheating on her with you. How are you doing that, man? How does that happen?
Yeah,
Like,
I
that
don't.
can't happen.
Wow, you're not that. Okay, I agree. See, this is what's wrong with this story. They're not bad people. They had sex with each other
people.
allegedly. That's actually not correct. You have no idea if Mike Vrabel's a good guy or a bad guy. Is Mike Vrabel a terrible human being? Is Diana Rossini some kind of just leper? Like a leper? No, they're not. Is infidelity morally wrong? Yes. Does it mean that you're a complete scumbag who has no business breathing? No. They had sex with each other over a prolonged period of time, allegedly. And they're both married to other people. They did something that millions of people do. I'm not going to say they're bad people. We go too far. We get too caught up in it. Do they act in a way that I would act? Certainly not. Certainly not. But I'm not calling them bad people. I'm not. I think we all make choices in this life, and some agree with us and some don't. Delaric, it's not a cultural thing. It's an NFL obsessed people in the offseason with nothing better to do or talk about. Okay. TMZ is all over it daily. Is TMZ the measure for what's popular in this country? Probably not, but yeah, it pretty much is. If TMZ is talking about it, I think it's a pretty viral story.
Mm-hmm.
Would you would agree with that?
I mean, I think what's trending on X is what people are talking about. That's what I think. I think that love it or hate it, X is the cesspool of madness. And so if the topic is trending there, you can pretty much guarantee that a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah. Matchup throwdown. What's the current odds on Jordan Hudson being photographed at an event wearing a t-shirt from that same resort in Sabona?
Solid.
She's such a red ass. Honestly, I must live under a rock. I didn't know who they are. Oh, stop. You didn't know who Mike Vrabel is. I don't believe you. Cougs Johnson, in the 15-second attention span TikTok era, it's incredible how long the story has lasted. I agree. Longer than Mike lasted, from what I understand. It's going to last
Allegedly.
until a bigger controversy is published. The next big star player doing something stupid. Could be.
Yeah, did you guys
Yeah.
see? You want to talk about doing something stupid? I forgot about this. We were talking about it today. Did you guys see JJ McCarthy over the weekend talking about doing something stupid? Does an interview where he's asked, hey, what are the top 5 wide receivers in the league? Hey, you think Justin Jefferson was in that list? No, he didn't include his boy in that list. Oh, that's right, because it's not his team anymore. It's Kyler Murray's team.
You're dumb.
You're an idiot, dude. You are not smart.
Yeah.
So,
Chewy, politicians and CEOs cheat. They're vilified. Sports people do it, and they're glorified. Are politicians and CEOs vilified for cheating? Well, it depends. Are you on the list? Then you're vilified, right? I mean,
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I want you to listen to me.
I'm going to guess Mike Vrabel has scored touchdowns in other end zones, not named Big Nose Kate, right? I'm going to guess that's a guess. I don't know that to be true. But what I know and what I believe is that these two had a prolonged affair over years. And my guess is, are they in love? Whatever that means. These two had a strong attraction to each other. And that doesn't make it right or wrong. They're both of legal age. They're both consenting adults. Nobody, it doesn't seem, was taken advantage of. Right? It doesn't seem like this is the list. The problem is you wind up with guys. Look at the Florida politician. Public Venmos, young women, underage girls, nose candy. That's not what Mike Vrabel and Diane Rossini are.
no.
Right? That's not what this is.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No.
It's not the typical BS we see from politicians. Is this different than the blue dress with the white stain on it? Very different. Right? Bill Clinton went for a walk in the park and got impeached for it.
Yeah, listen, elected officials are a different cut of story than citizens with jobs. That's just that's I guess that needs to be said. Anytime we're talking
we used
about
to have politicians held to a higher moral standard,
right?
Which we don't anymore.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about elected officials, whether it's POTUS or otherwise, you're having a different conversation. There's just a different thing going on there because you're an elected official. This, to me, yeah, I guess it just comes down to how harshly you view them based on the fact that the stories, the heart of the story is that they cheated on their significant others. That to me is like what. There's obviously all these things around it, right? There's all the different situations and the photos. Yeah. Hell, we haven't even got to the Jeff Pearlman, Jay Glazer thing yet. But like, there's all these different things, and those all contribute to how you feel about the core topic, which is, hey, dude, two consenting adults who happen to be adults with a lot of affluence, a lot of credibility until this came out. Very successful in their field. They got outed. And yeah, do we have video of them in their hotel room getting after it? No. But I think it's, I think it's pretty clear now what, we've got a pretty established situation here. So, I don't think that Vrabel would have come out and, gone from this is a laughable matter to, yeah, you know what? Like, it's a private matter. The most important thing is my family and the team, X, Y, Z. So it's an admittance without admitting it. And I appreciate that. Like I said, when that happened, what did I say? Hey, Mike, dude, I appreciate that you came out and you spoke on it. I think for your purposes and your family's purposes, excluding more photos coming out, excluding the story, continuing to have more information unveiled that makes you look worse, I think you've done what you have to do from a public media standpoint. You've essentially admitted it without explicitly admitting it. You've gone to counseling, known as the Salt Lake City Airport store where he bought the blue hoodie. And now we can wait for Diana to speak on it, which I still maintain is the main thing that won't allow this story to move on. Is, hey, Diana hasn't spoke on it. Diana has not, come out and talked about it. And I honestly think that she's the one that everyone wants to hear from. Diana's the one that we want to hear talk about or, speak on what all happened or what she's willing or not willing to say. Hi. So, that's the thing, dude.
Yeah, I also think we have breaking news in the NBA. The Magic have fired Jamal Mosley. Oof. What a collapse that was.
Yeah, dude. Banchero's statement after the game wasn't exactly a real nice message, right? Basically, hey, the building should be uncomfortable. First round, being out in the first round is unacceptable. And we have to get better. Yeah, and admittedly, again, see, and we're working on this, getting to the NBA more, but dude, that particular series, they had Detroit on the ropes. And you gave that series away. You should have beat them, but you didn't. And so I agree with firing him.
The story won't go away until she finally speaks or until people get to critique the inevitable private pictures or videos they don't want to get out. Well,
I'm not. Yeah,
Dave,
see that's kind of my line.
There cannot be a big nose Kate sex tape.
No,
there better not be. Did they?
I don't need that.
Who's tried to hack their cloud accounts?
Oh, I'm sure. Tons of people.
Has she modeled for Mike Vrabel?
Yeah, are there pictures? Is this, that's what I'm talking about. See, that type of material is what allows the story to continue to move forward. And that's why I'm saying, I think you can make actually a really strong case that the sooner she comes out and just owns this and talks about it and does whatever she's going to do, whatever play she's going to make, is the sooner she does that, the sooner she can get on with life. It's the price you have to pay when you are a public figure. You are as big of a name as she is. You were as big of a deal in the NFL as she was. You're gonna have to talk about it at some point. And maybe. I just hope for her sake that she's able to do that and then is able to move on and do whatever she's gonna do. I do.
Big Sac State James. Another James Burner account. Justin Jefferson does not like JJ. There's only one JJ on the team, and it's not McCarthy. Correct.
Facts. See, nice take, James.
Yeah, politicians are vilified. One of them just got elected twice.
Agreed.
Don't get me started. Trent, that was 9 answering. That was not McCarthy. Well, God, what a bust. When the Walmart manager cheats, they're praised on the Monty Show. Wow.
Waves in opposition.
My guess is Vrabel went back to New England because he knew Kraft couldn't fire him, probably. Brandon Butler, there's a big difference where a politician is supposed to be morally held to a higher standard than, say, an athlete. Agreed. 100%. Big Sac State James. You shall not commit adultery. The Lord will strike them down.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
Where did you get that picture?
I don't know where you got that, but clearly that's laying around somewhere.
You guys never cease to amaze me. It's incredible. Wilt Chamberlain tapped over 2,000 women. What a scumbag.
Did he cheat on his wife?
Isn't that right, Jake? He's a scumbag by your
measure. Did he cheat on his wife?
I have no idea. Don't know. Big Sac State James is in the chat. Yes, he is.
What's up, big bro?
This is 2 consenting adults with a little quid pro quo, not a politician or a CEO with underage or power over someone.
Here's the problem with that, dude. Here's the problem. She's a reporter and he's a head coach. He's in leadership. She's got an ethical responsibility as a reporter. They both have responsibility to other people. So it's not just two consenting adults, getting it on. That's not the case, actually. Sorry, dude.
Cougs Johnson, she does have insider info that only 4 other analysts in the NFL media have access to, so she can do a lot of damage to free agents and salary caps. Well,
yeah, but I think if you look at her reporting over the years, that's not what she's done. I've seen this angle play out. Oh, well, man, she slept with these different head coaches to get insider info so she can damage people and control the... I don't think it's that deep, dude. I think her and Vrabel had a connection. They like each other. They're obviously attracted to each other. They had a relationship of sorts. And yeah, through that process, did she get some details maybe on Mike's situation in Tennessee? Sure. That doesn't mean that like the Aaron Rodgers saga as an example, that doesn't mean she obtained that information by sleeping with people. That's where people go too far, in my opinion. Never once have I said that she slept around the whole league or that somehow she's, that's how she's built her career. I've never once said that, and I've never will say that. Because I don't believe it. I think, dude, I genuinely think Diana Rossini is one of the best and most talented NFL reporters. Not male or female, not young or old, just one of the best in the game. Like, bar none. The problem, though, is that I don't think she realized that if their relationship ever got outed, everyone would just go ahead and set that to the side and just focus on this. And that's an unfortunate side effect, dude. That's an unfortunate happening. But here we are.
Yeah, I don't know. Just looking at some of the reporting on it, I don't know, man. I'm a big believer that this is not. Yeah, she is vilified huge here. There's no question about it. I think being able to hold a vow to your spouse and your word is bigger for me than a politician. How can expect them to keep a promise to me if they can't to their wives? I don't.
Agreed. Which is why it's so incredible. And I should have got it. But Drake May, or late last week, going on video saying that, oh man, we love and respect Mike and he's our guy, and man, thoughts and prayers to his family. Hey, Drake, dude, by the way, nobody died. Nobody died. We're not talking about someone passing, dude. So thoughts and prayers and stuff doesn't really work here, man. That to me is incredible that was what Drake May chose to say when he was asked about Vrabel's situation. I couldn't believe that, dude. I honestly thought he would have kept it much simpler and just said, hey, you know what? Mike's dealing with that and we respect him, but I'm really focused on the draft. I'm focused on my development. I'm whatever, it's crazy.
The double standard is disgusting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I said, by lying as blatantly they did with their denial statement, they Streisand affected themselves into meme territory. Yes, they did.
You can't say it's a laughable question and then graduate to, yeah, this is a private matter. I'm really sorry.
Got to miss the NFL draft so I can go to Park City and be alone.
And get photographed at the airport buying clothes for my wife, allegedly.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
You can't do that, dude.
Again, not to be redundant, I'm shocked how much this thing's gone on.
What would you categorize size-wise this story? I mean, like obviously you've covered the league I know it's a family program. We don't measure stuff often. I get that. But like,
can you measure it?
How big is this story in the stories you've ever seen? I mean, is this like, I'm trying to think of like a massive NFL
this
story.
This isn't Mike Vick murdering dogs. It's not. I don't know what you would. Is this Bob Kraft in the search warrant? I don't think it's on that level. This is our unbelievable thirst for sex in this country. That's what this is.
Yeah.
I just don't know how.
Is it bigger than the Deshaun Watson saga?
Oh no! Stop. That was criminal, man. Like this is.
No, I don't mean in like severity. I'm just saying in attention and
in
like
scope.
The fact
yeah,
that
no, it's
scope.
not.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's nothing like that, which is why I'm perplexed by it. It's two consenting adults that had an affair.
Yeah.
Why are we still on this story? Why are you why are you obsessed with this story? I don't get it.
Well, I wouldn't have brought it up today if Inside the NBA hadn't made that graphic, but they did. So
why is Inside the NBA so obsessed with this story? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know how big it is. It's probably almost as big as his sack. The story is as big as PGA crowds at Doral were small. Right?
yeah, yeah. Hell of a course, by the way. I mean, 2 seconds on that. I mean, hell of a course. Cam Young, dude, awesome job, bro. Another nice week. Scotty, at some point you might want to play from in front instead of behind. Maybe then you'll win. It would be nice to see you back in the winner's circle, but whatever. Came in second. You know, a lot of driver off the deck. I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for that action.
Okay. Listen, I think it is shut up, Muldoon. I already saw. It's not been a good stretch for us.
Oh, the bitterness.
Fired our manager who we just hired. Stop. You know. Paparazzi parks it in Pound Town, Sedona. Yeah, they do.
Bro.
I don't know. I am really surprised that this story has these kind of legs. Anything sex in this country sells. It's the only reason you know who Kim Kardashian is. That's it. It's the only reason. I'm not obsessed with the story, but I am obsessed with Monty being obsessed about why people are obsessed with it.
You know.
We could be talking the 9-5 Stanley Cup game, all the Florida teams being out of the Stanley Cup finally. Assholes. The fact we're going to get 2 new teams in the Cup. Yeah, but we also could be talking about how disappointing the Mammoth were. It was a good run.
Can we stop with you want to talk about something that I'm not obsessed with? Can I stop seeing oh man, guys, dude, Ryan Smith is outside the building running around talking to fans. He's an everyday man owner. Look at the backwards hat. Yeah, miss me with all that material, dude. Like, great. Here, let me roll out the blueprint once again for 2 seconds. Oh, you acquired a hockey team. You brought them to the Delta Center. You renovated the building. You're going to change downtown completely. And then the hockey team is going to win more than the basketball team, but they're not going to win enough to compete for a Stanley Cup. They're just going to win enough to fill the building. That way you can take ESPN's coverage and market the hell out of it and say, oh, hockey is just a rousing success in Salt Lake and incredible. When actually Salt Lake sports fans, excluding Provo, because that's on a different planet, are waiting for a winner in Salt Lake. Not the Utes, not the Jazz, not the Mammoth, certainly not the Bees. Don't care if you got a new stadium. So, sorry, dude. I'm not heartbroken.
We probably are. Jake is just jealous of Ryan Smith's big Mormon power. Quit being a hater, young man.
Can you measure it?
Exactly. Jake is jealous of his Mormon power.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would do with all that power, man. Wow, dude.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, speaking of rules for thee and not for me.
No. Yeah.
How good old Sorsby. Brendan Sorsby is preparing to sue the NCAA. I know it's shocking. You hired Jeffrey Kessler? Hey, who paid for him? Because, bro.
I mean, is it too much to say that, the inference would be Cody? Or no, is that too strong?
That's too strong. Where does Cody Campbell come into that?
What do you? Bro doesn't have $1 million to pay Cincinnati. He sure as hell doesn't have money to pay Jeffrey Kessler.
He's suing Cincinnati now. I mean, come on. Who are we kidding? Hey, Brendan Sorsby is going to sue to try and get his eligibility back because, as we told you, the Big 12 will not certify him for competition. And the NCAA is going to revoke his eligibility, as they should. Justifiably so. We don't like the rules. We're going to sue. Yeah, you shouldn't sue. It makes you look like you take the O out of count.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we do. I mean, you've been saying this for 2 years now, I think, as early as I can remember it. Like, this is what we do in our country now. Oh man, wow. I don't like the rules when they're applied to me. I better try to sue my way out of it because I know that the NCAA has been relatively beatable in court, and I'm gonna hire a pit bull that I'm somehow gonna afford. Don't know how he's gonna afford that guy, but I'm gonna hire this pit bull of a legal professional to do this for me, and just hope that I win. And then when I don't win, I'm gonna get ready for the supplemental draft in the league and hope that works out for me. And that's what I don't understand, dude. That's what I don't get. I understand if you're looking at this and you're like, all right, well, what are my options here? But my issue is that the what are my options conversation has quickly turned into, okay, I don't care about my options. I just want to sue because that's the best way out. When what would actually be the better way out would be to say, yeah, you know what? Like, I made a mistake here, right? Like I made a mistake with all the gambling that I did. That's going to cost me my year of eligibility, which is then going to impact my ability to get drafted. But instead of taking the soft way out in suing,
we always like the hard way.
Yeah.
We call it the Vrabel route.
You could easily do what many have done.
Like Mike Vrabel.
You could Vrabel the hell out of your process and be committed to the seam route and develop yourself and make the film and put the film out and show people that you're taking it seriously. You're not gambling anymore. You're doing everything you need to do treatment wise on that. Like, we've lost the willingness and the desire to say, yeah, you know what? Like, I made that mistake, but how can I handle the mistake in a high character fashion? Because I guarantee you, if he did that, NFL organizations would be like, yeah, you know what? Checkered past, but look at how this guy's responded. That's valuable to us. Even if he's just a clipboard holder, that's valuable to us. We can do something with that. But we can't. What is an NFL organization supposed to do with a guy who's just going to sue his way out of everything?
I think sports gambling has become a plague in this country. I just reading some articles about the dopamine effect. I mean, you're Warren Buffett over the weekend talking about how sports gambling is just essentially giving your money away.
Yep.
It's incredible. And Brendan Sorsby is an example of that. And I'm here for it because freedom is what we all want. We don't often get it, but freedom's what we want. But it has consequences. Your actions have consequences. And again, I'm just going to keep going with this. And I'm just going to keep saying this. You make bad decisions. You'll occasionally luck into a quality result. You keep making bad decisions in your life, bad things are going to happen. You make bad decisions to move, bad things will happen. So when you left Indiana to go to Cincinnati, to go to Lubbock, did you think you were just going to leave this behind? You can't outrun that you're a gambling addict, in my opinion. You can't outrun that. You can't outrun, and I think we do this a lot in this life. I think we try to outrun things, outrun things, chase things. Like, I think we're chasing this idea that I'm going to win a bunch of money gambling. You're not winning this money gambling, dude.
No.
Right? And if you apply this to your own life, we job hop because we don't want to. I was reading an article over the weekend about how often people are trying to change jobs. And they're not changing jobs because jobs are harder to get. Well, guess what's happening? people are staying in positions longer and they're growing, and not because they wanted to, because they were forced to. Right? So maybe take the lesson in that and stand and grow and learn and develop. Brendan Sorsby will never do that because Brendan Sorsby's gotten an easy button. And the easy button is shaped incredibly, it looks just like Cody Campbell's wallet, which is amazing to me. But I'm telling you now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you now. Sports gambling is very, very dangerous. It's not a game in any way, shape, or form. It's not just having some fun. Look at the stories around Brendan Sorsby. Your buddy, John Mateer.
Yeah.
How is John Mateer still eligible? Do you think they're the only ones?
I mean, it would appear, I'd have to go back and read all of John's transgressions.
Matt Tier.
It would appear that John's case in scope was much smaller than Sorsby's, obviously. And at the time, John's outlook did look pretty rough, dude. And somehow he was able to overcome that. So, I don't know, dude. That's the sports gambling thing is, look, I think there's two parts of it, right? I mean, if we're talking about college athletes, college football players, or college athletes in any variety, gambling, that's really tough. If you want to talk about, average Joe person doing this or doing that, I mean, I just think that the huge difference, obviously, is we're talking about 20-somethings versus grown-ass adults, right? I mean, obviously, 20-somethings are adults legally, but they say your mind doesn't fully develop all the way to you're like 25, 26. So some of these people aren't even fully grown yet, and they have access. And that's where I say I just am. The gambling thing inside of college athletics is a black and white issue. It should be outlawed in its entirety in college athletics, in my opinion. If you're on a roster, you can't gamble. Just that simple. If you want to talk about the open public gambling on it, that's a different thing. I think the industry needs it. I think it obviously powers stuff. The revenue that's created with it from the public, there's a lot of different ways to argue that. But I like I said, you're never going to catch me in a casino just giving away gobs of money to a table or to a slot machine or stuff like that. And you're certainly not going to catch me gambling on, Emmanuel Clase being able to throw a strike or a ball on command. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to argue. It's like there was a clip of Mark Cuban talking about how going into debt to pay for college is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And then you multiply that by, okay, well, look at all the hurdles kids in college are dealing with. And you look at Brendan Sorsby, he doesn't even have to go into debt to pay for college, and he's going into allegedly a ton of money to sports. Like, there's just so many pitfalls. Just throw your money up in the air and hit it with a blowtorch. Like, it is incredible to me, the hurdles that exist. I'll never understand it. This isn't a news thing. Mickelson, Rose, Sorsby, hell, even the Jordan rumors. I am sorry, gambling is out of control at this point, dude.
Oh, I don't even think the Jordan rumors are really all that rumor anymore. I mean, multiple people, tons of people have discussed Michael Jordan's proclivity to gamble on the golf course, dude. His desire to constantly have something to play for is, I mean, that is, we've got so many people that have talked about that now that, like, he's even talked about it. So, I mean, I don't even think the on the golf course thing is even in dispute anymore. Him betting on games or something, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. But I'm just telling you, dudes who are competitive, and really, I do think that's part of the problem, because we are talking about college athletes who are competitive as hell, and we are talking about athletes in general. These bros that constantly have to play for something, or it's constantly got to mean something, that's part of the issue. That's what they prey on. That's what they get after with you, is your desire to constantly have that edge. Oh man, if I man, if I bogey this hole, I'm going to lose $100, man. It's all over YouTube golf, man. I see it all the time. Oh, man, we're playing $100 a hole, and we playing presses or no presses? We doing it like I'm telling you, yes, the gambling companies are at fault on some level because of how they run this thing and the smartphone tactics they use. But let's not skip over the fact that we as people, a lot of us like to do that because we do. And if we didn't like it, we wouldn't do it. And that's got to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. For stores, be on the lawyer front, unless he got the guy to make sure the rules were okay.
You have to rewrite that, buddy.
This segment presented by Prize Picks. Most of us are able to sports bet without losing our minds. I use it during football season and never touch it again, just to be interested in games. Yeah, a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. The number of tourists taking pictures outside of Warren Buffett's house during Berkshire is hilarious to me. Doesn't he live in Omaha, Nebraska? There was a story I read once about, I think Warren Buffett paid like $40,000 for his house, and it's now worth like $1 million or something stupid like that. We were looking at, because we're trying to pick up an investment property. Do you guys understand the craziness that is the real estate market right now? I tried to call a realtor yesterday and couldn't get in touch with him. Guy would have got my business. Couldn't get in touch with him. Numbers on the sign. The sign number is different than the Zillow number, which is different than the... Like, I'm amazed how broken real estate is in this country. I'm amazed by it. And I'm just trying to get on the phone with the guy who represents a property I wanted to see. Can't even get it done. It's crazy. Gambling in college is prohibited on college and pro, except for sports that the NCAA doesn't offer. Championships like UFC and horse racing. Were you guys into the Derby over the weekend? Again, I think it was a fun little race.
Nice story. Not something I'm going out of my way to watch.
Betting apps, deception, manipulation, and exploitation is their business model and mission statement. I don't think that's their mission statement. I could be wrong. Double check that. Matt Muldoon, the story of him losing more money by paying off airport attendants to have his bags come off the plane first to win a bet is objectively hilarious. People will do anything that needs to be done. It's incredible. Nick D, hits not a problem. It's the athletes not following the rules of their league issue. Correct. Personal accountability, man. That's what it is. Are all of these gambling apps still in overseas territories, or have them become legit being based? Oh, there's a bunch of them based in the U.S. Sports gambling's legal, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But listen, it is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. Real quick on the NBA playoffs. Did you know that the NBA playoffs are going on right now?
Yes.
Did you guys know that? I have never in my life experienced so little buzz around the NBA playoffs. I don't know that there's any Q factor in it at all. Honest to goodness, what is the level of excitement? Like, I'm thrilled the Knicks and Lakers are moving on. The Lakers are done. The season's over now. Because SGA is going to flop his ass into the semis. You know. But if you're the NBA, are you not thrilled that you have LA, Detroit, New York in the playoffs? I mean, I think you would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think you would be. I mean, my buzz or Q factor around it hasn't really been for the teams. Doesn't really matter to me that Bron's a Laker as it used to. I'm more concerned that Bron just beat a roster full of kids that weren't born when he started his NBA career. And that's an all-time moment. And I think that LeBron James, It's incredible, dude. It just is. Like it's if you're not watching Bron, you are missing history being made. And again, I'm a Jordan guy, I'm a Kobe guy, but give the guy respect, dude. He's 41 years old, leading his team, putting up numbers that last time I checked were on par with Miami LeBron. If you look at points per game, rebounds, assists, all that, they're right in line with what he was doing. He's just doing it differently now, which I respect. Like, that's great, dude. No problem with that. And I think that the drama, the Şengün talking smack to Bron and then only having that come back to end him is incredible in that series, dude. And then I go over to Boston and Philly, and this to me is by far the biggest story in the league. The Boston giving up the 3-1 series lead. Jaylen Brown, after they lose this game, goes on his stream talking all this junk, talking about how Paul George wasn't being called for anything. The NBA's got an agenda. It's me. They're doing this to me because I criticize the officials. And we often ask the question on the show, why is the NBA Q factor low? Why aren't we paying attention to the league? This is why. Victor Wembanyama. This is why. All these dudes do is complain about the officials when they lose big ball games. I'm telling you, Paul George in that game 7 was vintage Paul George. Like, awesome. But you weren't. And it just shouldn't be a thing where it's like all about the officials. It drives me nuts, dude. Absolutely drives me nuts.
I think there is zero personality in this league. And guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think are very bad for the NBA. And I sit here and I listen to Jaylen Brown, and I don't know that, like, listen to Jaylen Brown talk about the officials.
If you're going to call a push-off, call that. Same move. It's the same move, but this is a three-point play. He makes a three right here. If it would have been me, it would have been an offensive foul. And people saying I'm stiff-arming, I'm Mark Henry, stiff-arming people out here, whatever y'all be saying. Like, every good basketball player does this. What are y'all talking about? They clearly had an agenda. They clearly had fighting on a red board. If Jaylen does this move, call the offensive foul on him every time. I don't know if it's because I pissed the refs off. I've been critical about them, and I called them out a bunch of times. They were like, you know what, I got you in the playoffs. Watch this.
How soft are you? Like,
I mean, it feels really soft.
I mean,
it does. And it's, I agree. NBA officials act with agendas. I don't think there's any doubt. You can't possibly watch the Suns OKC series and think that that series was called on the level. And you're going to see it in this Lakers series because, and I have no idea how healthy Austin Reeves will be, but they're cooked if he's not, because he's going to have to defend. But tonight, you get Sixers Knicks at the Garden tonight. And Timberwolves and Spurs. Is there a game? Jesus, is there a game anybody cares about less than Timberwolves and Spurs? I mean, that game is simply uninteresting. I mean, Ant's hurt. Like, what am I watching for in Timberwolves Spurs?
Well, casual is going to say VW, but I'm not watching for VW. I think there's there's way more substance to the game than just what he does. What you're watching for in that game is Jaden McDaniels. That's what you're watching. His opportunity to step up while Ant's out. That's all you're watching for in that game. And
so you mean that's why I'm not going to watch in that game?
Yeah, that's why you're not going to watch in that game. Agreed.
Not going to watch in that game.
I actually think Sixers and Knicks is going to be a really good series. I think it'll be entertaining. Dude, Maxey, Paul George, and Joel is a problem. They're very good. They have multiple different ways to score, and it's why they came back on Boston. It is the Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown moment. I was watching it. Those two jawing at each other on the block. in the middle of the game while Joel's got the ball on the block against Jaylen Brown, is that to me was a great moment for the NBA. But the problem is you know what to expect. Like, like I can expect Jaylen Brown to complain about it after the game. I just can't. And you know who's to blame for that, in my opinion? You know who started that trend? In my opinion, Kyrie Irving started that trend. Kyrie Irving was the first one of these guys who was a guard to go on social media, to post about stuff, to talk about stuff, and to complain about stuff. And yes, have other guys done it? Yes, of course, right? Luka, Bron, KD, Book, everyone complains about officials. Everybody does it. But I'm talking about going on stream outside of the NBA ecosystem and torching the league. That's not a good look, dude. And the question of should you split up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I think is more pertinent today than it's ever been in the history of their partnership.
Luka doesn't sound like he's going to be back for this series. He's not. It does not sound good. I'm pretty sure if Bron plays next season, it's going to not be with Luka. Oh, I think this is Bron's finale with the Lakers.
Yeah.
No doubt. Oh, by the way, I have to say I'm enjoying Jake and Monty upping their YouTube Shorts video lately. Keep up the good work, gents. You guys watching the shorts? Did you see my ugly iron swing the other day? To which I'd also like to say, screw you, Marcus. Marcus says to me, I love how you put on Instagram last night that you hit the greatest wedge shot you've ever hit, but suddenly it's not on video. Every other MFing thing you do is on video, but you missed the one best shot. Take it up with the wife. I'm not the video guy. I'm the special golf guy, which means I golf like I need help. I hit one of the greatest wedge shots I've ever hit. I hit a drive at Bellevue Golf Course on number 7. It's a right turn. You got to cut the corner. If you hit your drive well enough, you have about 50 yards into the hole. I heel cut a mini driver. I think we measured it at 50 something yards. Massive tree trouble. Like huge pine trees in front of us. And my wife saw it. Like she was there for it. She just didn't. She's lazy. She didn't want to video it. Anyway, the point is, I pulled out a 54-degree Sugar Daddy from PXG. Open that face wide open. Put it on my front foot, hit down on it, swung as hard as I could. It went up over those trees and it landed within 8 feet. And then my wife, who we play best ball off the tee, she did the exact same thing. Now, unfortunately for her, she doesn't have the ability and the power that I was born with. So she hit the top of that tree. Amazing shot. And then she chipped within like 5 feet of it because my wife's got a better short game than you do. But yeah, it is the single best wedge shot I've ever hit. It was incredible. Incredible. Now, did I make the putt? No. Could not make a putt. One round. Then the next round couldn't make a putt. I would have been 2 under if I'd have made a putt.
Because it's garbage.
You know, appreciate you guys interacting with your audience as much as you guys do throughout your show. You don't see that a lot. Oh, Nick, I appreciate you saying.
Yeah, listen, guys, dude, you guys can repay the favor by liking the show a lot more than you do. Okay, we need to have a conversation.
We need to hit the like button for sure.
We need to have a conversation. Seriously, and I'm not even joking. Like the channel has a great following. There's no question about it. But we haven't leaned on the audience or the following to do the things you need to do because it just hasn't been necessary. But as we continue to grow, we need you guys to hit the like button. We need you to subscribe if you're not. And we need you to hit the notification bell. Those 3 things in tandem with you watching for 10 to 15 minutes out of your day will grow this audience and continue to cultivate. And I would ask you to do that on the shorts and do it on the show. Like, do it. Please help us.
Yeah, hit the like button. It really does make a difference. There are 80 people watching right now. No, there's hundreds of people total on YouTube. Yeah. Anyway, let alone who watched earlier. There's only 41 likes. Yes, please hit the like button.
Yeah, please.
It does make it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference when you guys hit the like button. So, and I appreciate that. Right there, we got about 10 likes. So, yeah, awesome. It doesn't even take 0.001 cal to hit the like button. No, it doesn't. That's right. That's right. Monty, you guys should have seen the fish I caught. I swear. Shut up, Rock. You're such a dick. The one shot. And it was, I'm telling you, if you've ever tried to flop shot over a tree, that was amazing. Yeah, it does.
But it sounds like the iron swing is ironing. It's doing better.
It's ugly. But you know what? I played great golf this weekend.
Nobody cares how the swing looks if the iron swing performs, bro.
I played my best golf of the year this weekend, and I'm thrilled with it. It's as simple as that. I leave for Hawaii on Saturday. We're playing Kapalua and Muni in the mountains. And then after that, we're playing Gold Mountain in Bremerton. So trying to convince my wife to go to Banff it's a $400. I found a flight this morning for $400 to Banff. Seattle to Calgary, Calgary to Banff. She won't do it. We're in this whole thing now where you're always, are you ever content with what you have? Is it wrong to always be chasing the brass? I'm pretty real about who I am and where I'm at. Right? Like, I'm 53. I need the next 10 years have to be big money making years for me. And in the next 5 years, my mentality is I want to double my net worth. And so there's only one way to really do that. How do you double your net worth? Well, you buy property. Right? So obviously I have my home here in Salt Lake. I'm looking to pick up, by the end of the year, I'm looking to pick up another investment property. And it's just a matter of
patience. Finding the right opportunity.
The problem is, here's the problem. Do you wait for the midterms to happen? Because conceivably, if we're all looking at our money, and I'm curious where you guys come down on this. If you look at your money now, and if the midterms go the way everything is trending, if the Democrats really take control in the midterms, conceivably, money should get more accessible and cheaper. Now, if the Republicans hang on during the midterms, which you roll your own dice, money is probably going to stay the same. And it's going to make things more unaffordable. So do you wait for the midterms and then get into a property? Or do you, in my case, don't spend a penny for 2 months and buy a rental property around the 4th of July?
Well, I think that there's more that goes into it, right? I mean, I think that it depends on, like, obviously I'm assuming you're looking at rental property for long-term tenants, of course, right? Like that's what you're talking about. And so with that being the case, there's two sides to that coin. One side is, hey, well, real estate, no matter what happens in the elections, the value of a house isn't just going to go down because that happened, right? Typically, we just see it continues to go up. I mean, money may get cheaper, right? If you're talking about, loan terms, that, there's definitely money there, I think, that could be had. At the same time, though, you also have to think about, well, if you picked it up in July and you got someone in there, the money you're going to make between now and when the midterms would happen would probably be worth your time, honestly. Like, it probably would.
I don't
know.
I think
that's what you have to consider.
I think the housing market's going to be very interesting. I don't know what the answer to that question is. I honestly, I have no idea what the answer to that question is.
Yeah. You know,
I really don't know. So, yeah. Dude, golf in Utah is incredible.
Yep.
Park City Mountain Resort. If you go to Park City Municipal,
yeah, gorgeous.
It is, and I still think my favorite course to play is Wasatch, up in the mountains. It's incredible.
Those are the two.
Incredible.
Those are the two. Everyone's going to tell you about, like, Soldier Hollow is nice, but I would say Wasatch is one and PCMR is two for sure.
Yeah, Gesundheit. I think, yeah, hitting. If you haven't played golf in the mountains, dude,
so much fun, dude. The ball just goes forever.
It is different. It is different. All right. Hey, I want to ask you guys about cruises. Have you guys heard this hantavirus story? Dudes, I'm just telling you now. I don't know that I can ever get on a cruise ship. I know people love their cruises, and I'm not trying to convince you one way or the other. But did you guys hear this story about hantavirus and this cruise ship where 3 people are dead and they're saying it's from hantavirus on a Netherlands-based cruise ship in the Atlantic? The virus is rare. It's transmitted to humans by rodents. The World Health Organization says the risk posed by the hantavirus to a wide public remained low. These people were on a cruise ship, and they died of hantavirus. Does that mean you ate rat feces, like rat poop?
Well, that's my first question. You're on a cruise. Where did the rodent portion come from?
I don't even know.
You tell me that the food you ate picked up the virus from a rodent in shipping? I mean, is that the angle? I mean, I'm legit. I'm not even being a Reddit. I'm genuinely curious. How does this take place? 1. 2, I'm not interested in being in a confined space with that many people for that long of a time. Like, I'm just not, like, it's like, I understand, okay, you got to do everything once. Okay. All right. One time. Cool. You want to splurge on a cruise and you want to drop 10 grand or something or whatever it is, 5 grand, go on some crazy cruise. All right. Knock yourself out. I'm not going to do that because I'm not a cruise guy. You want to put me on a plane? Cool. Get me on a plane, get me to a destination. Fine. I'm not going on a cruise, dude. It's not happening. And how many times is this going to have to happen for people to be like, yeah, dude, whether it was that virus that shut us down for however long, 5 years ago, or whether it was this, like, how many times is it going to have to happen where people are stuck on a ship and can't dock because there's a virus on the ship? That's got to run its course. I'm not doing that, man. No, absolutely not.
Yeah. I'm not. You've got 3 people dead. Several others are ill from hantavirus. I can't say I'm willing to do it. I just can't. I can't see myself getting on a. I can't see myself getting on a cruise ship. And I saw this story about what was it? The $42,000 suite on this cruise ship.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I'm not. You're paying $42,000 for a family vacation.
Absolutely not.
Well, first of all, I'm not paying $42,000 for a vacation. But $42,000 for a cruise vacation? Nah, dude. Yeah. Happiness is about what you want. It's about wanting what you have. Well, there is that. There is that for sure. I've found great opportunities in Provo and Ogden for rental properties. As a contractor, I learned some hacks to increase rental values. Maybe I'll send something over. Dude, I have... The rental game in Utah is... it's a very interesting market. I feel like my property's undervalued rent-wise, but
it is.
I have a really good tenant, long-term tenant, never hear from them, knock on wood.
Yeah. Which has massive value.
Yes. Joey says, how about Carnival Cruise Lines? Bring your boxing gloves, survival of the fittest, dude. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. What's your ideal of a perfect vacation? For me, like I'm going to Hawaii this weekend. Right now, by the way, I'm off next week, just so you guys know. I'm going to Hawaii for a week. I'm going to play 2 rounds of golf. Going to do some snorkeling, boat cruises. Like, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's a great vacation for me. Play a little golf, spend time with my wife, which is the only reason I do the stuff that we do. I'm not paying 42 G's for a cruise. I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, I struggle with the value proposition of it. I mean, I understand people want what they want, right? Like there are obviously people out there who love going on cruises and don't have any problem with it, and it's their favorite thing. But I just really struggle with understanding why that is. Like what, because it's basically just a glorified hotel room that you get, right? I mean, they obviously market this stuff as like the end of the world quality suite and all that, but stuff like first class, Emirates first class on A380s, cruises, stuff like that. It's just opulence. It's just, hey, like really nice spaces to be in and enjoy. And I'm cool with that. But my biggest anxiety about a cruise is being stuck on a boat with thousands of people who are sick and I have no way out. Not interested. I'm just not going to put myself in that position. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I will say, being thinner now and being able to comfortably fit in a coach class seat, I'm more willing to do it.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but I am more willing to. I don't want my wife to hear me say I'm willing to fly coach.
What's next? You're willing to fly Southwest?
No, I'll never fly Southwest. How about Spirit Airlines? We got to talk about the airline industry some other day.
Yeah, sad day for Spirit, man.
Oof. And what's Delta doing right now? Very interesting. All right. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, 24/7, 365. Clear risk-free advice right now. Did you get hurt at work? Did you get in a car accident? Don't trust your insurance company. Call the Advocates first. Call them first. Call them right now at theadvocates.com, or you can chat with a free injury attorney live online 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime. Theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.